Chapter 2006, Holy Dynasty Prince. When Lin Feng opened his eyes, they were glittering. He was still on the throne, the stage trembling around him. The throne and the battle stage slowly became transparent, and faded away into non-existence. The members of the Holy Spirit dynasty were astonished, especially the elders who were pulling long faces. Even though nobody had ever managed to sit on the throne, they could use the Holy Way stage to test their descendants, using the battle stage to see how talented they were. It was a good tool, and now it was dispersing and disappearing. The stage was made of the saint's body, and now he will never return, so it also disappeared. Lin Feng understood that. Now that the saint had transmitted his memories to Lin Feng, he had disappeared and would never return. "What did you obtain?" an old man asked Lin Feng. He didn't sound furious, they just knew that the Holy Way stage was a treasure which used to belong to their ancestors. But what had Lin Feng obtained or seen when sitting on the throne? "I saw the Holy Spirit dynasty's saint from the old days," Lin Feng replied calmly. The strong cultivators of the Holy Spirit dynasty looked at him sharply. Lin Feng felt pressured. "What did you obtain?" asked the man again. "He transmitted some memories of an ancient battle to me." "They knew back then that the Qi Tian dynasty was going to collapse," said Lin Feng. Everyone remained silent. The old man looked at Lin Feng and noticed that he was still strangely calm. After a long time, he said, "The Holy Spirit dynasty has existed for a very long time. Nobody has never managed to sit down on the throne. The most outstanding disciples of the Holy Spirit dynasty have gotten close to the throne, only one step away, but failed even though they were so close to success. That's why we wanted to see if there was any genius in the Dark Night region who could succeed. We didn't have much hope, it was just an idea. And now you succeeded, and we don't know what to do." "I understand," said Lin Feng, nodding calmly. "We used to laugh about it and say that if someone succeeded, they'd become the king of the Holy Spirit dynasty. However, you did it, what you obtained should belong to us," the strong cultivator went on calmly. Meng Qing's heart was pounding violently. She understood their opinion, but Lin Feng and she couldn't protect themselves. "Master, that's your final decision?" asked Lin Feng. The strong cultivator remained silent for a few seconds. Meng Qing clenched her fists as ice appeared around her. "You did what the geniuses of our dynasty have not managed to do from generation to generation. You've seen our ancestor. If we killed you and stole what you have, it would be disrespectful to our ancestor. And you did something great, which means you're very talented. You'll definitely become a peerless cultivator. Even if I steal what you've obtained, it won't help us gain a king," the man mused. The other cultivators of the Holy Spirit dynasty listened calmly. Nobody expressed their opinion. They had already talked about this before. Meng Qing took a deep breath in relief. "Therefore, I think we should grant you the title of Holy Dynasty Prince. Not only won't we hurt you, but we'll also support you and help you become a peerless cultivator. However, you must promise me one thing," said the man slowly. "What thing?" Lin Feng asked calmly. "I will choose the most beautiful and most outstanding woman of the Holy Spirit dynasty, and you will need to have children with her. You'll also leave your children live in the Holy Spirit dynasty. You will also transmit the knowledge you obtained today to your sons. Whether you want to stay in a relationship with the woman or not doesn't matter. If you do it's great, if you don't it doesn't matter," said the old man calmly. Lin Feng was irked. It was great for the Holy Spirit dynasty, he was talented so they didn't want to kill him, and if he had children with their women, outstanding young people would emerge in their dynasty, too. He would also have to transmit his knowledge to them. Even if he was a foreigner, he would be closely bound to the dynasty. Lin Feng admired the strong cultivator for his persuasive abilities. He even wanted to sacrifice an outstanding and beautiful woman's virginity so the clan would have outstanding young people. Lin Feng frowned. For him, it wasn't bad either. It was a win-win proposition, a beautiful and outstanding woman, being backed up by the Holy Spirit dynasty, his sons would become the future kings of the Holy Spirit dynasty. Everything sounded perfect. I agree, Meng Qing spoke up at that moment. Lin Feng was astonished. Meng Qing. Lin Feng looked into Meng Qing's beautiful eyes. Lin Feng, I think it's a good deal, said Meng Qing. For Lin Feng, everything was perfect. He couldn't refuse. The strong cultivators of the Holy Spirit dynasty looked at her and nodded. Lin Feng, you're extremely talented, and you have such an incredible wife already, you're very lucky. We won't cause you trouble, we just want you to have children with the women of our dynasty. You don't even need to get married to them. I agree, Meng Qing said again. All right, I will choose the most beautiful and outstanding woman of the Holy Spirit dynasty. Don't worry, you can choose one yourself, Lin Feng, the Holy Spirit leader said. Do I have a second choice? Asked Lin Feng. You must understand that we care about our ancestors' legacy. For you, there is no other option, or it wouldn't be as perfect. Lin Feng remained silent for a few seconds and finally nodded. Indeed, nothing could be better. Haven't you seen the Holy Dynasty Prince? The old man turned and shouted at the crowd. Suddenly, many people bowed before Lin Feng and shouted, Holy Dynasty Prince. Lin Feng looked at them and then said calmly, Can I leave? You're the Holy Dynasty Prince now, that's a much higher social status than an ordinary prince. Your sons will also become Holy Dynasty Princes. You're free to do what you want. I'm off then, Lin Feng said calmly. His silhouette flickered away, and Meng Qing followed him. They held hands and left. Lin Feng firmly held on to Meng Qing's hand. Lin Feng, it doesn't matter. They will even back you up in the future, it's a good thing, smiled Meng Qing. You know, I don't mind having them back me up, said Lin Feng, looking at Meng Qing. I don't mind either, agreed Meng Qing, smiling gently. Lin Feng caressed her face and said, I want my first child with you. When Meng Qing heard him, she blushed. She looked so beautiful at that moment. Lin Feng went back to the Tianxi dynasty and stopped there for a few minutes. He asked Princess Piao Shui to help him get some pieces of information concerning the Moon Palace. He initially wanted to ask Yiren some things, but he didn't have the opportunity. So Piao Shui told him that the Moon Palace had been invited by the ancient Jade dynasty. After that, Lin Feng went to the ancient Jade dynasty. Piao Shui also followed Lin Feng. The ancient Jade dynasty wasn't the oldest dynasty, they had emerged a long time afterwards. The founder of the ancient Jade dynasty was called the Jade Nymph, and her social status was very mysterious. The ancient Jade dynasty had mostly women, but they were very strong. But Piao Shui didn't fear them, so when Lin Feng told her what he wanted to do, she decided to follow him. After all, this guy was crazy. Chapter 2007, Kidnapping. Lin Feng and Piao Shui landed on the territory of the ancient Jade dynasty. Two guards stopped them, but Princess Piao Shui said, I'm Princess Piao Shui from the Tianxi dynasty. We came to see your holy princess. Since you're a princess, please follow me, said one of the guards extremely politely and led the way. The other guard left by himself, he had probably gone to inform the holy princess. The other guard brought Lin Feng and Piao Shui to a beautiful place for them to rest. There was a cliff with a waterfall, and a natural pool at the foot of the waterfall. There were some pavilions scattered around, all in all, it was beautiful scenery. Please have a rest here. The holy princess will come to see you. All right, thank you, said Piao Shui politely. I shall leave for now, said the guard, smiling thinly. Does the Tianxi dynasty have a holy princess or a prince? Asked Lin Feng to Princess Piao Shui, after the guard had left. We don't, maybe we will someday though, Piao Shui smiled. Lin Feng understood something. The ancient Jade dynasty is different from other groups. They've always had a holy princess, and there's only one. People call her Holy Princess or Holy Jade Princess. She's incredible, extremely strong, explained Piao Shui. Lin Feng nodded. All the dynasty's princes were already extremely strong, so the Holy Princess was probably even stronger. Lin Feng, what happened in the Holy Spirit dynasty? Asked Piao Shui, smiling at Lin Feng. Of course, if you don't feel like telling me, it's okay. Nah, I sat down on the throne and then I landed on an ancient battlefield. I received some memories from the Holy Spirit dynasty's ancestor, and I became their Holy Dynasty Prince, said Lin Feng lightly. Piao Shui was naturally astonished, however. Don't worry. The Tianxi dynasty invited me, and in the mysterious world, I will collaborate with you, Lin Feng smiled. Princess Piao Shui was relieved. She was still astonished that Lin Feng had become their Holy Dynasty Prince, though. If Lin Feng wanted to help the Holy Spirit dynasty, she had nothing to say. After all, he was their Holy Dynasty Prince now. Princess Piao Shui, you're here, why didn't you tell me? A gentle voice drifted in. Lin Feng gazed into the distance and saw a silhouette. There were many other people arriving, most from the Moon Palace. Yi Renlei and Qiu Yuxian were among them. The leader of the group looked like a celestial being, and was extremely beautiful. She was the Holy Jade Princess. Oh, that's Lin Feng. I've heard about your achievements on the Holy Way stage. You even managed to sit on the Holy Imperial throne. You're extremely talented. You've surpassed many monstrously strong people. A pleasure to meet you, said the Holy Jade Princess. She was very friendly. Lin Feng looked at Qiu Yuxian and said, Holy Jade Princess, forgive me for my boldness, but I came here because I'm looking for someone. Oh. Who? Asked the Holy Jade Princess. Lin Feng turned to Qiu Yuxian and said, come with me. Qiu Yuxian. The Holy Jade Princess looked at her. So Lin Feng had come for her. Qiu Yuxian released an ice-cold qi and said to Lin Feng, I don't know you. I'm walking on the path of emotionlessness. If you were emotionless, I wouldn't have disturbed you. However, Empress she wants to control you using emotionlessness and I don't agree. For Yuxian, I have to prevent you from walking on that path. Lin Feng walked forwards and released a terrifying qi. The Holy Jade Princess frowned and said, Lin Feng, you're in my territory, the ancient Jade Dynasty, and the Moon Palace's celestial beings are our guests. Do you think it's the right place to do that? Qiu Yuxian is my woman, she's a member of my family. It has nothing to do with you, princess. If you want to get involved, I won't blame you. If the ancient Jade Dynasty gets involved, I will leave. However, if you get involved in my personal affairs, we will be enemies, said Lin Feng calmly. He slowly walked forwards. The Holy Jade Princess spat icily, you're threatening me? If you think so, then I don't care, said Lin Feng indifferently. Princess, I'll solve the situation myself. Qiu Yuxian said icily. Qiu Yuxian's silhouette flickered. She rose up into the air. Lin Feng also rose up and faced Qiu Yuxian. Let's see if Empress Shi's work was properly done. Let's see how strong you've become, said Lin Feng. He flashed ahead, appearing in front of Qiu Yuxian, and raised his fist. The earth and sky whistled as the emotionlessness Tao appeared. Lin Feng suddenly felt bitterly cold. The emotionlessness energy was ice-cold and as sharp as blades. Lin Feng had the impression he was going to become paralyzed and emotionless. Their energies collided. Qiu Yuxian was propelled backwards. Lin Feng had the impression he was in a rain of blood. Is that emotionlessness Tao? You still have so much affection strength inside of you. Empress Shi, someday, you'll be my slave, Lin Feng said icily. Lin Feng was also becoming emotionlessness too, his will was being absorbed. Qiu Yuxian released terrifying emotionlessness energies which blotted out the sky. Emotionlessness is the best path to achieve enlightenment, retorted Chiu Uxian icily. A wind made of emotionlessness strength started blowing. Lin Feng was surrounded by the energies. However, he remained calm and serene and released Tao intent. His eyes turned black and he stared at Chiu Uxian. The path of emotionlessness is bullshit. If you're emotionless, you don't care about anything, you also don't care about enlightenment. Being free and unrestrained is the best way to achieve enlightenment, not emotionlessness. Using marks of the path to understand Tao is stupid. For example, it's not pure. So it's even worse if someone makes you do something, said Lin Feng. Chiu Uxian's heart twitched. He was trying to destroy her Tao will. The Holy Jade Princess shivered when she heard him. Tao modeled itself after nature. Tao wasn't about oppressing one's Tao and emotions. Being free and unrestrained was the best way to achieve enlightenment. It was the first time she heard such interesting concepts. Lin Feng was very clever. Uxian, do you remember you abandoned your family? Asked Lin Feng. He sounded like a demon. He wanted to find her weakness. Remember that in Ba Huang, you became emotionless to protect me. He still sounded like a demon. The crowd noticed that Chiu Uxian's emotionlessness Tao was slowly dispersing. Lin Feng's Tao intent was much more powerful than hers. Lin Feng kept getting closer and closer to Chiu Uxian. Emotions are important. You're my woman. I love you. If your Tao wants to steal you from me, then I'll destroy your Tao. Chiu Uxian's heart shook violently. Lin Feng was getting closer and closer to her. Chiu Uxian's hair was fluttering in the wind. She punched out in his direction. Her Tao shrieked at him. Lin Feng also waved his hands and death strength crashed into her emotionlessness energy. Lin Feng accelerated in a blur of motion. Look at me, shouted Lin Feng explosively. Chiu Uxian sensed a terrifying strength invade her brain. She had the sensation she was losing control. Lin Feng jumped towards her and took her in his arms. Princess Piao Shui, let's go. The members of the Moon Palace were astonished when they saw Lin Feng hug Chiu Uxian. They all moved at the same time, trying to stop him. Those who try to stop me will die, shouted Lin Feng grimly. World of the Living imprints appeared and slammed down. When the women of the Moon Palace sensed Lin Feng's energies, they retreated, finding themselves suddenly surrounded by death energies. Lin Feng was gone in a gust of wind. The Holy Jade Princess watched Lin Feng leave, her eyes glittering. That guy was so aggressive. Wasn't he afraid of the Moon Palace's revenge? The Moon Palace was terrifyingly strong. Holy Princess, I'm sorry, said Princess Piao Shui, smiling at the Holy Jade Princess. She followed after Lin Feng. If the Tao wants to steal you from me, then I'll destroy your Tao. Chapter 2008, Holy Spirit Natural Godly Skill. Lin Feng took Chiu Uxian back to the Tianxi dynasty. At that moment, in his spirit world, Chiu Uxian was stunned by the landscapes. She looked at Lin Feng and said, "Where are we?" "My world," said Lin Feng calmly. "What do you intend to do?" They were in a boundless flatland. "I know that you haven't fundamentally changed, only your Tao embryo has changed. I know you're not completely autonomous. Empress Shi can influence you, a part of you is Empress Shi. I will not let you off until the imprint Empress Shi put in your body is completely gone, and your emotionlessness Tao is destroyed. Only then will you beat Chiu Uxian, said Lin Feng solemnly. He raised his hand and the former site of Tiantai appeared, all 81 palaces. One palace was where he had lived back in the day. Lin Feng released his godly awareness, which contained threads of immortal strength. They turned into memories. Lin Feng and Chiu Uxian silhouettes appeared there. They looked very close to one another. Lin Feng turned around and waved his hand again. Many images appeared all around them, including the numerous times when Lin Feng used to provoke Chiu Uxian in the small world, the many times they battled, and so on. Lin Feng, Meng Qin, Qiu Uxin, the three of them in the water, or when they were in Emperor Yu's world. Lin Feng waved his hand again. Xian Yuan appeared, Tianlong Divine Castle's people. No matter where Qiu Uxin looked, she was surrounded by familiar memories. Qiu Uxin's emotionlessness strength kept pulsing around her, and she was shaking. She had a life, friends, a family, and now Empress Shi, you want to destroy her. How could I let you, said Lin Feng grimly. The last scene which appeared was when they were outside the Moon Imperial Palace, when Lin Feng looked crushed and devastated. Qiu Uxin had tears in her eyes. You're crying, you're still Uxin. How could you be emotionless, said Lin Feng, smiling gently. He slowly walked towards her. Qiu Uxin stared at him, but she didn't stop him. Lin Feng hugged her tight as she shivered. Uxin, you will always stay with me from now on. Lin Feng put his hands under her clothes and caressed her skin. She was so cold, but his movements were warm. No, Qiu Uxin released emotionless strength. Lin Feng moved back, and as he left he said, Uxin, be persistent. You're not Empress Shi, you're you. Remove the emotionlessness imprints in your body. Lin Feng disappeared from there. She was left surrounded by all those memories. Qiu Uxin looked around and sat down. As she watched those scenes, she began to smile. After Lin Feng left, he created some clones. He went to Xueyu and sat down cross-legged on the blue Uptala lotus. He also appeared in another place, an ancient battlefield. There was a saint which had interesting methods, his punches could turn into holy spirits, they could modify the earth and sky around them. Each time he punched out, things changed around him, the punches could turn into immortal strength. Is that a Holy Spirit natural godly skill? He can modify his surroundings as he wishes, he's in perfect fusion with the earth and sky, murmured Lin Feng. The Holy Spirit natural godly skill had been created by the Holy Spirit dynasty's ancestor. He had created it using his blood and a very advanced understanding of cultivation. His Holy Spirits had lives. He condensed them to release a terrifying strength, stealing the power of earth and heaven to condense strength. When his strength surged out, he could control his surroundings and kill people. When cultivators transcended worldliness and attained holiness, they had a perfect understanding of their own path, and could create skills, techniques, spells, and write ancient scriptures. They had almost unlimited powers. When Lin Feng had been on the Holy Way stage and sat down on the Holy Imperial throne, he had seen the saints battle, and he had also obtained the Holy Spirit dynasty's saints' skill. The saints were terrifying, thought Lin Feng. The saints' battle was a precious treasure for cultivators. It would help them to understand cultivation even better. If great emperors knew he had such memories, they would immediately think of stealing them from him. No wonder the Holy Spirit dynasty didn't want to give them up. There was also a sword cultivator on the ancient battlefield. He used Cassiopeia sword attacks, and in a flash, everything around him was attacked. He looked like a terrifying killer, and all the saints feared him. Ancient sword cultivators were incredible, they had all broken free from the great Tao. Lin Feng studied the battle thoughtfully. If he condensed holy spirits using the Holy Spirit natural godly skill, what kind of holy spirits would he use? The ancestor of the Holy Spirit dynasty had 33,000 small holy spirits and 137 great holy spirits, his attacks were awesome. If I managed to condense holy spirits using sword cultivation in several sorts of cosmic energies, I could carry out terrifying sword attacks, murmured Lin Feng. Back then, when he was a Zun cultivator, he could condense several sorts of abstruse energies to carry out terrifying sword attacks. However, after having broken through to the Huang Qi layer, it had become difficult to make cosmic energies fuse together properly. Using the Holy Spirit natural godly skill, maybe it would become possible. Using holy spirits, maybe he would be able to condense cursing, demon, and death holy spirits using his celestial evolution holy scriptures. Lin Feng started meditating in seclusion and practicing the saint's skills and techniques. In the outside world, some incredible things had happened. Many people came to the Tianxi dynasty to fight against him. Lin Feng had been on the holy imperial throne and the news had spread everywhere. Many geniuses wanted to see if Lin Feng was as strong as they were. They wanted to compare themselves with someone who had the potential to become a peerless cultivator someday. At the same time, in the Holy Spirit dynasty, someone was waiting in a beautiful room. A strong cultivator of the Holy Spirit dynasty was at the door and said, "You're the best person. You're outstanding. Your children will be extremely talented." "Piss off," snarled an icy voice from inside. "We've never agreed on such a thing. Disappear." "Why are you being like that?" asked the strong cultivator, unwilling to give up. He continued, "He's extremely talented, he's been on Holy Way stage and sat down on the Holy Imperial throne, nobody has ever managed to do that before. He's handsome, determined, and everything. He's a great young man. As a medium-level emperor, he defeated Ji Chang and he is backed up by Shiju Lao Xian. Many women dream of having such a man. He'll become a saint someday. Asking you to become his woman isn't a humiliation, is it?" "I told you to piss off," the voice shot back icily. "Please think about it. I'll come back to you. I can't wait to see the children you'll have with Lin Feng," said that person before leaving. The unseen woman called out, "Wait. Did you change your mind?" asked the strong cultivator of the Holy Spirit dynasty, turning back slightly. "What was his name, you said?" asked the person inside, but she still sounded icy. "Lin Feng, from the Holy City, Champion University," answered the old man. Chapter 2009, 18 Holy Spirits in his spirit world. The energies of the blue Uptala lotus were surging out, while his heavenly grace ancient tree was releasing the energies of the 10,000 things of creation. Lin Feng was surrounded by cosmic energies which started fusing together. A sword was suspended above Lin Feng's head. His dazzling Tianji sword was usually inside his body. Right now, it looked polished and clean, shining proudly. The Tianji sword kept whistling. Lin Feng smiled, "The Holy Spirit dynasty's saint could create all sorts of holy spirits, and my Tianji sword is a spiritual being. I'll try to create some small spirits." Lin Feng waved his hand and his Tianji sword sliced across the sky. "Open," shouted Lin Feng. His Tianji sword flared brightly, and lights of all colors appeared around it. Lin Feng made some hand seals. Energies condensed around his sword soul. Cosmic strength kept flowing through his sword souls. The sword souls turned into ancient swords and absorbed the cosmic energies of the earth and sky. Small holy spirits could even absorb the strength of the earth and sky. Lin Feng couldn't do that yet. Immortal, demon, lightning, fire, wind, empty space, cursing, absorbing, soundwave, desolate, death, life, from now on, you're not just for the sword, you are holy spiritual swords, murmured Lin Feng. He willed his sword to become gigantic, and the gigantic sword started absorbing the strength of the earth and sky. The cosmic energies kept trembling around him. Lin Feng didn't stop after that. A death demon appeared in his mind. He opened his mouth and absorbed the death and demon strength. Like an ancient cultivator, he started creating holy spirits. The Holy Spirit dynasty's saint had 33,000 small holy spirits and 137 great holy spirits. It was a terrifying attack. For Lin Feng, this was only the beginning. In Lin Feng's mind, the wisdom kings appeared: Akalanatha, Trailokaya Vijaya, Kwali Vidyaraja, Yamantaka, Vajrayaksa. They were all in front of Lin Feng and looked awe-inspiring. Lin Feng could use them to make 5 holy spirits. After the sword and the 5 kings appeared, Lin Feng released a terrifying qi as he flew up and started condensing spirits. Dazzling lights gathered around him as he became transparent. After a long time, Lin Feng was surrounded by shadows, and his Holy Spirit swords had turned into human shapes: fire, purple lightnings, dazzling golden lights, empty space Holy Spirits. 12 Holy Spirit swords chi filled the air. They looked like rudimentary Holy Spirits, alive now. All those kinds of strength kept intertwining in the air. 12 swords, 5 wisdom kings, a death god, those were Lin Feng's 18 Holy Spirits. The saints had incredible skills. It was as if they could control the 10,000 things of creation. Using Holy Spirits to attack was a terrifying way of fighting, thought Lin Feng. He closed his eyes and practiced making his Holy Spirits evolve. 2 of Lin Feng's clones were with Qiu Yuxian. The emotionlessness energy in her body progressively dispersed. Lin Feng finally stopped practicing cultivation. He recalled his 18 Holy Spirits into his body, raised his head and looked at Meng Qing, who was seated on the tree. Lin Feng jumped up and landed next to her. Meng Qing opened her eyes. She smiled and said, "Are you done practicing cultivation?" "Yes, I managed to create Holy Spirits thanks to the legacy I've received from the saint. In the future, I'll continue studying them. I'll apply the principles of the celestial evolution Holy Scriptures and modify them. It'll make me much stronger." Lin Feng smiled. "Why don't you hurry up and practice then?" Meng Qing said gently. Lin Feng put his hands around her waist. He hugged Meng Qing tightly. He put his mouth close to her ear, which made her shiver. "I first want to have a baby with you," said Lin Feng. Meng Qing shivered and blushed. "Ah," Meng Qing sighed. Lin Feng hugged her and smiled, "Let's go and make a child." When Meng Qing heard Lin Feng smile, she laughed. She looked embarrassed. If anyone had seen her, they would have been astonished, a celestial being who blushed. Lin Feng took Meng Qing to a hut nearby. It was isolated from the outside world. He gently dragged her onto a bed. Meng Qing's body was amazing, and Lin Feng was terribly aroused when he saw her blush. She looked bewitching. Lin Feng moved on top of her and smiled. "Meng Qing, what should we call our child?" "You can choose," whispered Meng Qing. "Well, take some time to think after we make love," said Lin Feng, smiling evilly, and then he started doing just that. Soon, it would be time to go to the mysterious world. The geniuses who had been invited to the Qianxi dynasty gathered together. The palace they were in was spectacular. There was a flight of stairs with 99 steps, and many buildings, all of them gigantic. Lin Feng and the others arrived with the 2 other groups. They didn't enter any building, they were just standing there and chatting. There were some geniuses who hadn't been invited, but had come as a form of respect. "Lin Feng," someone called out at that moment. Lin Feng sensed sharp energies. By the next day, Lin Feng was already famous. They had all heard of Lin Feng's achievements. Only 2 people had managed to get onto the Holy Way stage. One of them was Chu Chun Chiu, the other one was Lin Feng, and they were both from the Holy City. But Lin Feng hadn't only been onto the Holy Way stage, he had also been on the throne. He was the only one who had managed to do so. Everybody wanted to fight against Lin Feng to compare themselves to him. Many of them hadn't been on the Holy Way stage, but they didn't know how hard it was, and cultivators were self-confident. They were convinced they could have done great. "Lin Feng, back then, we didn't have such a great battle, I only used 70% of my strength. I hope we can fight again sometime soon," said Crazy Bull at that moment. Lin Feng smiled and said, "If you want to fight, I'd love to. I also want to see how strong the most talented cultivator is. I hope your talent matches your strength, otherwise what would be the point?" Everybody was stirring with excitement. "All right, the Holy Emperor is here," interrupted someone, gazing into the distance. A few more people had arrived. The Holy Emperor was accompanied by 2 women. The Holy Emperor looked young, but he was probably extremely strong and much older than he appeared. There were two extremely beautiful women behind him, two imperial concubines, one of them Piao Shui's mother. The Tianxi dynasty was very powerful, and their women were extremely beautiful, too. They had to preserve a powerful bloodline in the family. "Hello, Holy Emperor, Queen, Imperial Concubine," said everybody bowing before them. They all smiled and said, "You're too polite. Everybody came here, it is an honor for us. Please have a seat." "Don't be polite," waved the Holy Emperor. Everybody sat down. Piao Shui and Lin Feng's group sat together, the members of Goblin Spirit University and another prince sat together, and the strong cultivators of the ancient Holy Clan sat down with yet another prince who had invited them. These three groups were going to go to the mysterious world together. Chapter 2010, Empress Shi's Fury. Lin Feng glanced at the two other princes, who had imposing appearances, dignified and majestic. They were young, but one could see that they had imperial blood. Emperors had many sons, trying to have more chances to have a more outstanding heir. Everybody was like that. Princes also did all they could for the dynasty. The fact that Piao Shui could go to the holy place was a sign that she was incredibly strong. "Everybody, that's Prince Yan, that's Prince Chen, and that Princess Luo Shui," said the Holy Emperor. Princess Luo Shui was Princess Piao Shui's other name. Prince Chen had invited the cultivators of Goblin Spirit University, Prince Yan had invited the strong cultivators of the ancient Holy Clan. Lin Feng realized something: Prince Yan was closest to the Holy Emperor, Prince Chen and the others, as well as Princess Luo Shui and his group, were farther away together, as if Prince Yan's status was higher. When the Holy Emperor introduced them, he mentioned Prince Yan first. It wasn't a significant sign, but still. "A bright future awaits you all. Thank you for having accepted this chance to go to the mysterious world with my descendants. I hope you'll all enjoy and benefit from the adventure," said the Holy Emperor extremely politely. He didn't say he needed them. He was proud, he said he wanted some help and he hoped everybody would benefit. It was also a good way to establish relations with other incredibly strong people. In the future, these young people might still be friends. "You're too polite," Prince Yan replied calmly. The Holy Emperor smiled and nodded, "Everybody, come, have drinks, let's toast." Everybody raised their glasses and downed their drinks. The man next to Prince Yan looked ordinary and clean, he was tall and his eyes were golden, his energies felt swift. "Wang Jian, your weapon Dao is incredible, you can probably kill people easily without them realizing it now," smiled the Holy Emperor. "If that was true, I would have already transcended worldliness and attained holiness," Wang Jian said politely back. "You're too humble. Even though Zhuo Qing has a king-type body, he wouldn't be able to defeat you," the Holy Emperor smiled cheerfully. Wang Jian said nothing, but he really wanted to try fighting against Zhuo Qing, actually. "Crazy Bull, you must be extremely strong too," the Holy Emperor looked over at Crazy Bull and smiled. The best cultivator Prince Yan had invited was probably Wang Jian, and the strongest Prince Chen had invited was probably Crazy Bull. In the end, the Holy Emperor looked at Lin Feng and smiled, "Lin Feng, you're very famous. Everybody knows about you in Qi Tian Holy Town now. You defeated Ji Chang as a medium-level emperor, and only Chu Chun Chiu and you managed to get onto the Holy Way stage. On top of that, you even sat down on the Holy Imperial Throne, the only one to do so. You're incredible. The geniuses of Qi Tian Holy Town all want to exchange views on cultivation with you." "I was lucky," Lin Feng said simply. The Holy Emperor had flattered the three geniuses. "Talent is talent, you weren't lucky. The Holy Way stage is an ancient vestige. You managed to get on it. It proves that you are very talented. You will definitely surpass me in many elders, you will become a peerless king someday," the Holy Emperor smiled. "I hope so," replied Lin Feng calmly. He looked neither happy nor sad. "You will. I asked your people to come because I want you to get to know some outstanding cultivators. I also want to talk about the holy place. The holy place is a mysterious world which has been sealed by the saints. There are historical remains there. The ancestors of Chi Tian Holy Town have left treasures there in the ancient times. Many people have been there, so there are many less ancient treasures there than before. I don't know what you can find there precisely, but you're not going on a holiday, it's a very dangerous place. Many people die there each time it opens. The strongest people can benefit a lot, but the others die. Yan, Chen, Luo Shui, remember that, said the Holy Emperor. Lin Feng was thoughtful as he listened to this. The Holy Emperor was talking to his 3 children and trying to make them understand that they had to collaborate. Maybe their relations weren't cordial at all. Princess, how are the relations between the princesses and princes? Lin Feng asked telepathically. He had to understand this point. Otherwise, in the mysterious world, it could get very dangerous. Princes and princesses compete all the time, and the competition can be fierce and cruel. A dynasty is like a world, it's the law of the jungle, especially in dynasties where there are no holy princes and holy princesses, replied Piao Shui. She didn't hide the truth from Lin Feng. She sounded quite serene about it. I see. If we find treasures, Prince Chen and Prince Yan might try to steal them from us. Lin Feng continued. Indeed. The Holy Emperor is reminding us that we have to join hands when fighting against enemies. And if we find treasures, we shouldn't act recklessly and attack one another, replied the princess. Lin Feng understood the situation a bit better. The royals had to control themselves during this trip. I don't need to tell you what to do in the mysterious world, I can only wish you all good luck. I hope you'll all benefit, spoke the Holy Emperor, raising his glass. He said nothing really important, they were just formalities. After the banquet, Lin Feng and the others left to get ready to go to the mysterious world. Lin Feng continued practicing cultivation. He felt pressured. Crazy Bull had been a champion for a long time, and was stronger than Ji Chang. Wang Jian, who had been invited by Prince Yan, was an extremely strong and practiced weapon cultivator. He could even defeat Chuaqing, who had already reached the top of the Huang Qi layer. Wang Jian might even be stronger than Crazy Bull. In the mysterious world, his enemies would be the strongest cultivators of the Dark Night region. He had no choice, but to try and become stronger. Qiu Yuxian was still seated alone in a field. Lin Feng's clone walked up to her. She was seated, wearing white clothes. She had been there for so many days, battling against her own self. When Lin Feng appeared in front of her, she raised her head, looking wan and sallow. Yuxian, said Lin Feng crouching down. He put his hands on her cheeks and smiled. You're good. You're Qiu Yuxian, my woman. I can't get rid of it, said Qiu Yuxian shaking her head. She looked like she was in pain. I'll help you, said Lin Feng. He pushed her gently to the ground and moved on top of her. Her face turned deathly pale. She shook her head unceasingly. No, we can't. Her eyes rolled back. She didn't look like the same person, she looked possessed. You're my woman, you'll always be, forever. I can do anything to you, said Lin Feng, putting his hands on her arms, before he started kissing her neck and lips and breasts. Insolent bastard, said Yuxian icily. In reply, Lin Feng tore her clothes apart. Ah, Qiu Yuxian trembled. It was a mixture of suffering and pleasure. But slowly, her emotionlessness strength dispersed. She started enjoying the process. The grass was their bed. Qiu Yuxian and Lin Feng became one. Lin Feng kept kissing her skin gently and softly. He looked at her beautiful eyes and said, Yuxian, you're mine. Empress Shi and her emotionlessness can piss off. At that moment, in the Moon Palace, an ice-cold qi emerged and turned into a cloud. A beautiful celestial woman rose up into the air in cold fury. Lin Feng, I'll crush you into a million pieces. At that moment, Empress Shi was shaking violently, her heart was pounding. Xiao Yu Xian wasn't her clone, she was just influenced. If Yu Xian came back to her senses, she would be Yu Xian. However, it felt as if she was Yu Xian and Yu Xian was her. Chapter 2011, World sealed by the saints. Finally, it was time to go to the mysterious world. The atmosphere in Chi Tian Holy Town was lively. Many strong cultivators left the dynasties and gathered in one place, and Lin Feng was no exception. The Holy Emperor of the Qianxi dynasty led the way. They arrived in front of a lofty mountain. It looked indestructible and eternal. There were many other people everywhere about. Aside from the princes and princesses who had invited people to come, there were also some strong cultivators from the dynasties themselves. There were also people from Piao Shui's dynasty with them, the imperial concubine had selected them personally. They were older, not as talented as Lin Feng and the others, but they were at the top of the Huang Qi layer, and had been stuck at that level for many years. They had more experience, and thus more skills and techniques. Those people had been getting ready for this event for some time. Lin Feng glanced at the crowd and noticed many people he knew. Chu Chunqiu, Ji Chang, the 10 strongest emperors of the Holy City were all there. After the Pathfinder Day in the Holy City, people had stopped hearing about them because they had all come to Chi Tian Holy Town. Apart from them, Lin Feng also noticed some friends, Lang Yi, Dugu the Winner, Jun Mo Shi, the Prince of Sadness, the ancient sorcerer. Those last two were from the vast celestial ancient city. The Prince of Sadness looked even more extraordinary than in the past, and even more elegant too. The ancient sorcerer was mysterious. After Lin Feng had gone to the holy city, those two people had kind of disappeared, remaining discreet. They had gone to Tianyuan ancient city and practiced cultivation really hard there. Everyone had progressed. 3 people who have king-type bodies, they are all high-level emperors now, thought Lin Feng, looking at Lang Yi and the others. Lang Yi nodded back at him. They hadn't seen each other for a while. Lang Yi and Dugu the Winner were now high-level emperors, breaking through faster than him. The Prince of Sadness and the ancient sorcerer looked even more sly. The ancient sorcerer was enigmatic and unfathomable. In the vast celestial ancient city, people said he had a sorcerer king-type body. King-types were considered the best cultivators when it came to battling, but they all liked practicing cultivation anyway. This time, it would be a good opportunity to compare themselves to all the geniuses of the Dark Knight region. Of course, people who had king-type bodies had an advantage, as it counterbalanced their flaws. At that moment, someone from the Holy Spirit dynasty appeared next to Lin Feng. Holy Dynasty Prince, the Holy Spirit dynasty has already chosen the most outstanding woman for you, she's extremely beautiful and talented. Please be careful this time, and when you come out, come to the dynasty, said that person. Lin Feng was surprised and nodded. He couldn't avoid this anymore. He was just a bit sad for the woman. Good, I'm going again then, said the old man and headed back to the Holy Spirit dynasty. The Holy Emperor of the Qianxi dynasty was surprised and smiled at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, you're the Holy Dynasty Prince of the Holy Spirit dynasty? Yes, Lin Feng nodded. He didn't talk too much. The Holy Emperor of the Qianxi dynasty looked surprised but didn't ask too much, just smiling thoughtfully. Everybody, let's open the seals, someone announced at that moment. All the Holy Emperor's silhouettes flickered and landed in front of a mountain. An awesome welling of strength rose about everyone. The Holy Emperors started making hand seals and attacked the mountain with an ancient technique. After a short time, something rumbled. The mountain cracked open, and patterns appeared. Dazzling Tao intent lights twinkled. The crowd stared at those patterns in surprise. What a strange thing, it contained Tao intent. Everybody, release your Tao strength and enter the pattern. That's how you access the historical remains, said the holy emperors. Lin Feng and the others immediately ran forwards and released their Tao strength, filling the air with power. In the cultivation world, there were many ways, and many kinds of Tao. If a cultivator was strong enough, they could choose their own path. They could even create their own path. Everybody's path was different. When they penetrated the patterns, a vortex appeared, and the atmosphere began to distort around them. The vortex absorbed their Tao intent, a black hole appearing and absorbing everything. The holy place is going to be open. You need a monstrous amount of Tao strength to open it. Nobody can go there alone. Therefore, it is a necessity that many people go there at the same time. Release as much Tao strength as you can, a voice spoke up loudly. Everybody released even more Tao strength. No wonder the descendants of the dynasties can't go there alone. The holy place is a terrifying place, thought the crowd. The vortex continued absorbing everything even as it slowly disappeared. The patterns turned into a single gate. The gate of the mysterious world was open. Everybody, please enter the mysterious world, said the emperors calmly. In a flash, all the geniuses jumped through the gate. What would happen if great emperors went there? Lin Feng asked Piao Shui. Great emperors can't get close. Some great emperors have tried in the past, but they died in tragic conditions, replied the princess. Lin Feng nodded and said nothing. As the crowd crossed the gate, Princess Piao Shui said, "Let's go in, too." They appeared in a desolate place, filled with an ancient aura. It felt like they had traveled back in time. At the same time, a light beam streaked across the sky. In the distance, an ancient white palace appeared. A young man was standing there, looking at the crowd icily. 100 years have passed already. A bell rang that had not tolled for the past 100 years. At the same time, on an ancient mountain in the distance, a strong cultivator raised his hand and gazed into the distance. His face was ice-cold as he said evilly, "Finally, some people came." At that moment, many people raised their heads and looked around. 100 years, finally, those people were here. That ancient world had been sealed and abandoned. People who lived in there were very bitter and had become dark of mood and thought. People's silhouettes flickered. They still lived peacefully together. They hadn't found any treasures yet, so killing one another was still pointless. They had to keep some strength for later. Suddenly, a strong wind started blowing. They raised their heads and saw a gigantic group charging towards them. A cloud of dust appeared behind them. Beasts, what kind of beasts? Half people, half beasts, humans with snake heads, great rocks with human heads. What are those things? The beasts' eyes were bloodshot, they looked fearless, cruel, and brutal. The cultivators who had just arrived were momentarily taken aback. This world has been sealed for such a long time that living beings have evolved differently, thought Lin Feng. That was a small world, without a doubt. The saints had sealed it long ago, so living beings had evolved differently. Let's go and kill. A group of people rose up into the air and threw themselves at those beasts. One of them turned into a golden light beam as a tornado appeared around him. Die, said Zhuoqing, running into the group of beasts. Terrifying golden lights moved like lightning. He started killing beasts one after another, blood spraying everywhere. Some extremely strong beasts could cut the golden lights with their claws. Zhuoqing grunted icily, and a dazzling golden disc appeared. A metallic wind howled out of it, which made the beasts explode. Chapter 2012, Chu Chun Chiu Secret. It's a brutal world. There are terrifying beasts who are cruel and bloodthirsty. They look extremely strong too, Ho Chin Lin noted calmly. This mysterious world was dangerous. They were not going to be bored. Let's go, said Princess Piao Shui. Their group of people started killing the beasts too. Lin Feng used punches, his fists dazzling and as sharp as swords. A holy spirit appeared and cut through the air, his empty space Holy Spirit. A bear with gigantic wings roared in a thundering rage, as big as a gigantic mountain with domineering chi. Arg! A horrible shriek spread out. Lin Feng punched the bear's lower body, which exploded. Lin Feng continued moving forwards. He jumped up and punched the bear's head, which exploded as well. Then, the bear's body fell down and crashed onto the ground with a crushing shockwave. What an incredible physical strength, thought Piao Shui. She was also fighting against beasts, but watching Lin Feng near her once in a while. Lin Feng's attacks were awesome. Lin Feng also paid attention to Piao Shui, and the way she controlled water and golden energies. At that moment, she had released a water dragon, which was destroying beasts one after another. When her water dragon attacked them, they turned into ice and then were destroyed by its claws. Your sword attacks are so fast. Piao Shui said to Jian Mang. Jian Mang was moving faster than the eye could follow. He was also a medium-level emperor, but he had an advanced understanding of light Tao. Fighting against these beasts wasn't a problem for him at all. In the distance, a brutal chi rose up into the air. Lin Feng frowned. What kind of world was this? There were so many beasts. This world had been sealed for such a long time, and there were so many powerful bloodthirsty beasts everywhere. This is a beast territory. Staying here is pointless. Kill them as fast as possible, said Piao Shui while killing beasts. Lin Feng released more holy spirits and attacked beasts one after another, trying to kill them as fast as possible. Prince Chen and Prince Yen were also terrifyingly strong. The middle-aged emperors sent by the Tianxi dynasty were also stupefyingly strong. Together, killing all these beasts wasn't a problem at all. If the princes and princesses had come alone, it wouldn't have been so easy. They would have been destroyed in the blink of an eye. Finally, Lin Feng and the others were surrounded only by blood. There was an ocean of corpses and dispersing bestial qi behind them. Prince Chen and Prince Yen were already heading in different directions. Let's go. Outside of that desolate place must be the real ancient battlefield. It has probably become a real world. There might be many strong cultivators there. We must be very careful. I've heard that those people are terrifyingly strong, said Princess Piao Shui. They all flew ahead at their best speed. At the same time, another group of people was killing beasts and moving forwards. Chu Chun Chiu, the other members of the Celestial Godly University, as well as the members of the dynasty, dispersed. Chu Chun Chiu looked around. The geniuses from the Dark Night region are incredible, murmured Chu Chun Chiu. At that moment, his chi was dashing to the skies, and he looked like a king. In the distance, two people noticed and came over to him. When they saw him they called out, Chu Chun Chiu. Chu Chun Chiu was the strongest emperor of the Holy City. Even in comparison with the geniuses of the dynasties, he could be considered extremely strong, therefore many people recognized him. Chu Chun Chiu sensed that some people were coming towards him and turned around. When he saw them, he looked at them as if he had seen two prey. The two geniuses' hearts started pounding violently. Chu Chun Chiu, what's wrong? Asked the cultivators when they saw that Chu Chun Chiu was looking at them icily. One of them grunted. I'm here to kill people, replied Chu Chun Chiu icily. Then, he moved in an eye blink. Arg! Sky-absorbing intent straightforwardly dashed to the skies, a strong wind started blowing, and those two men's wills shook violently. Their faces turned deathly pale. They released their chi, but Chu Chun Chiu opened his third eye, strength emerged from it and penetrated into the third eye of one of those cultivators. Then, Chun Chiu turned to the other one and punched him, his punch making heaven and earth shake. An endless amount of king intent filled the air and destroyed everything in its path. The cultivator's face turned deathly pale. A terrifying strength slammed down on him. Chu Chun Chiu landed on the ground, surrounded by a vortex which absorbed everything. He grabbed that cultivator. His gigantic hand made the man's soul shake violently. He felt tiny next to those energies. Chu Chunqiu grabbed him and held him in his hands and stared at him as if he were looking at an ant, destroying his willpower. The man shrank to a tiny size and then moved towards Chu Chunqiu's third eye. Chu Chunqiu absorbed him completely. The other one was astonished and horrified. Chu Chunqiu charged towards him. After a short time, he ended up like the other one. Chu Chunqiu absorbed him completely. Chu Chunqiu looked expressionless. He gazed into the distance, his face aggressive and brutal. His silhouette flickered and he left. If Lin Feng had been there, he would have realized that Chu Chunqiu had been hiding his real strength the whole time. Lin Feng and the others arrived in a city. Lin Feng was surprised because there were many ruins, nobody had fixed them up. The city looked even older because of it. So many years have passed since the ancient battlefield. As expected, it's a microcosm. There were human beings and beasts left behind here, said Lin Feng, glancing around. Many people raised their heads and looked at them coldly. Princess Luo Shui, only emperors came in here, but how strong are people in this world? Are there people who have levels higher than the Huang Qi layer? Asked Lin Feng. There aren't human beings of the Di Qi layer here, but there are living beings of the Di Qi layer, replied Princess Piao Shui. Lin Feng was startled and asked, beasts? No, living beings. There are some people who look like people, but they aren't people. In this world, people can't be of the Di Qi layer, but some entities can. They remain in the form of spirits. The Holy Emperor warned us, we have to be extremely cautious, said Princess Piao Shui. Lin Feng was astonished. Body capture, murmured Lin Feng. Indeed. When they break through to the Di Qi layer, they die, so if they see us, they will be very interested, said Princess Piao Shui. Everybody nodded. They had to be careful. Chapter 2013, Powerful Spirits. Let's go into the city. The historical remains are at the heart of this world. There are many castles and buildings with many things in them, but they are protected by powerful spirits, Princess Piao Shui said to Lin Feng. Everybody's silhouettes flickered as they moved ahead. Many historical remains must still exist inside. This world probably has many castles, said Lin Feng. Indeed, many. Each castle is guarded by powerful spirits, though. Why don't the spirits leave? Asked Lin Feng. They can't get out. And if human beings left this world, they would be killed easily, so they prefer staying here, said Princess Piao Shui. Human beings were too weak compared to people in the outside world, they were well aware of that. Why don't spirits capture people's bodies and leave? Wondered Lin Feng indifferently. Some people looked at them icily. Lin Feng realized that people in here were really strong. They were all emperors. They looked bloodthirsty and ferocious, like animals. Let's go to a castle guarded by spirits. I hope we can find some historical remains there, said Princess Piao Shui. Lin Feng and the others looked at her strangely. Ho Qinglin said, since spirits are of the Di Qi layer and want to capture our bodies, why go and provoke them? It's too dangerous. They don't have bodies. They have the strength of great emperors, but they are not aware. We have vitality, vigor, and a consciousness. If we join hands, we can crush them easily. They can't act recklessly against us, said Princess Piao Shui. Lin Feng and the others suddenly heard music. Following it, they progressively descended from the sky. What a sad music, said Lin Feng when he heard it. It was very melancholic. He almost had tears in his eyes. After a short time, Lin Feng landed on a tower and glanced around. He saw many buildings. In the middle of them, there was a person seated cross-legged by a lake, playing music. The person's body was transparent. Only their music was eternal, not their corporeal body. He was alone. Great imperial spirit. Princess Piao Shui was stupefied. A spirit, not a person. His music is his life. He feels lonely, he has forgotten what it means to have friends. That spirit is stuck in this world, it's so sad. Don't let him fool you. Entities which live in this world are cruel and bloodthirsty, they have no empathy, said Princess Piao Shui. Lin Feng and Ho Qing Lin nodded as they came back to their senses. They had almost gotten hypnotized by the music. Dear friends, you have come from so far away. Why don't you come over here, said the young man in a low voice. Lin Feng and the others were stupefied. They wanted to leave, but instead saw another group of people. Prince Yan's people. Lin Feng recognized Wang Jian. They were there, too. At that moment, Prince Yan looked at Lin Feng and the others. His eyes glittered. Then, he looked at the central plaza and he rose up into the air. However, at that moment, the music changed and a terrifying music pierced through their eardrums. The music turned into arrows which moved towards everyone to kill them. Lin Feng's heart twitched as they all released qi. The arrows couldn't pierce through, but suddenly, many human silhouettes appeared and turned to look at them. They all looked bloodthirsty and violently intense. A black death energy rolled out, shaking the air. The spirit's energies corroded the atmosphere and charged towards Lin Feng. His soul shook violently. Lin Feng's robe fluttered in the wind. His blood felt as if it was going to explode. Arg! Lin Feng roared in a thundering rage. It felt like the ground was about to collapse. Ho Qing Lin also sensed the danger. So many spirits. The one who plays the zither controls them and turns them into deadly weapons. Those spirits were incredibly strong. Ho Qing Lin released reincarnation energy, which was very efficient against spirits. Many of them disappeared instantly. Jian Mang's sword lights killed anything, human beings or spirits. Their group killed the spirits one after another. Lin Feng's blood qi shot up into the sky. A demon king appeared behind him, while he looked like a demon himself. He also released terrifying cosmic energies. Prince Yan and the others also reacted and started attacking the spirits. They drew closer and closer to the great imperial spirit. The zither continued playing sadly. The strange young man lowered his head and said calmly, "Everybody, you've all come from so far away, you don't know what it feels like to be lonely." "You know why we're here," spoke up a strong cultivator next to Prince Yan. "No rush. The historical remains won't run away." "There aren't enough people," said the man indifferently. "There are historical remains in this castle?" asked Prince Yan. "Of course. Otherwise, why would I guard it?" replied the great imperial spirit. "I see. So, Your Excellency, can you lead the way?" asked Prince Yan. "It's not that easy. You have to pay for that." "You want us to do something for you?" asked Wang Jian icily. "Indeed," said the spirit nodding. "What?" Prince Yan asked calmly. The great imperial spirit could easily find the historical remains, but they couldn't trust him. According to legends, they were extremely violent and bloodthirsty. How could a spirit possibly cooperate with them? "Help me obtain a city, and then I'll take you to the historical remains. That way, you'd be able to obtain the historical remains of two places," said the spirit calmly. "You want us to kill one another, right?" someone divined icily. "When people came to this world, they first wanted to find cities and buildings to find historical remains. This spirit wanted them to kill other people to conquer other places. You are too naive. In this place, there are 9 castles, and each castle is guarded by a spirit, like me. Since you're here, if we don't conquer their territories, they will come and conquer this one. They'll fight against us. Don't forget your goal," the spirit replied coldly. Lin Feng and the others shivered. The dynasties had invited so many strong cultivators because they didn't want battles to happen between their people. They had been sending people to that mysterious world for such a long time, they probably already knew those things. Why do you need castles? He wants to expand his power. He can absorb the strength of other spirits. All the spirits who guard castles must be of the Di-Chi layer. They want to use us to achieve their goals, explained Princess Piao Shui. Well, if spirits come invade this place, we can help them absorb that guy and then we can ask them to lead the way, right? Asked Lin Feng indifferently. The man looked at Lin Feng icily. A terrifying strength suddenly surrounded him. Lin Feng had the sensation his blood was going to explode. He raised his fist and punched out, many holy spirits appearing and attacking with him. They charged towards the spirit. He grunted icily and played the zither even louder. Suddenly, many spirits converged towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng rose up into the air and kept attacking with holy spirits. The spirits all exploded. The spirit said to Prince Yen and the others, "Kill him, or you won't have access to my historical remains." Chapter 2014, Ancient Historical Remains. Prince Yen looked at the spirit and said indifferently, "He's right. If we kill you, it'll be easier." The spirit smiled evilly as if he had heard a joke. "A bunch of retards. I've seen many naive people like you, and in the end, they died in tragic circumstances." Then, he suddenly became distorted and turned to smoke. Lin Feng and the others frowned. That spirit is extremely dangerous, thought Lin Feng frowning. Then, he said, "Let's go and search ourselves." Yes, the others nodded. They could only rely on themselves. Some people released their godly awareness and inspected the area. They had the sensation the castle was empty. "Get down." At that moment, they lowered their heads and saw a spirit who had no chi. They asked him, "Are there historical remains in the 9 castles?" The spirit raised his head and looked at Lin Feng and the others respectfully, nodding. "Where are they?" "I don't know, only the guardians know," replied the spirit. "Why are there no human beings in the castles?" asked Princess Piao Shui icily. "Human beings?" The spirit looked terrified, his mouth twitched, he didn't dare talk about that. "Speak," said Princess Piao Shui. She looked scary. The spirit looked scared, suddenly rose up into the air and said, "I don't know." "You want to die," said an old man who was in their group to the spirit. However, at that moment, they heard a zither, a death spear appeared, and the dynasty's old man moved back. The spear plunged into the spirit and it disappeared. Lin Feng suddenly turned around and gazed into the distance. The spirit smiled at them coldly, "I'm a king in this castle. If you don't respect me, you won't have access to the historical remains. Let's go outside the city and look around," said Lin Feng icily. Their group started leaving. The spirit pulled a long face. Lin Feng and the others appeared outside and saw many humans. Lin Feng landed in front of a middle-aged man and asked, "Your Excellency, why are there no human beings in the castles? Are they afraid of spirits?" "Foreigners?" asked the man indifferently. Lin Feng nodded. They knew that spirits could steal people's bodies. Was that the reason why human beings were scared to go there? Great imperial spirits can absorb people's blood chi. They can use people to create spirits, which they control and use to attack. However, if they don't have a body, they rely on their castles. It might be linked to the historical remains, but I'm not sure. The stronger they are, the stronger their spiritual slaves are. They can't leave their castles, however. When they become strong enough, they can use body capture. "You're from abroad, be careful and take care," said the person politely, but indifferently. He left. He didn't feel like talking to Lin Feng too much. The man looked sinister. If Lin Feng and his friends hadn't been extremely strong, he wouldn't have paid any attention to them. Lin Feng and the others gazed into the distance. Some people looked back at them with dark intentions. Great imperial spirits were terrifying and sly. They could absorb people's blood to become stronger, and they wanted the outsiders to fight against one another. However, the outsiders had to find a solution if they wanted to access the historical remains. Great imperial spirits didn't care about anything or anyone, they were ready to kill other spirits and human beings. They just wanted to become stronger and stronger, that was their only purpose. "You have no other choice," said someone loudly. Lin Feng turned around and saw a gigantic face in the sky. It was the evil spirit. He smiled coldly, "Come back. If you don't help me kill the intruders, they will kill you. You have no choice." The evil spirit disappeared. Lin Feng and the others pulled long faces. "Sorry, my knowledge is limited. We can come to the mysterious world every 100 years only," said Princess Piao Shui apologetically. "No problem. Let nature take its course." "Let's go back," said Lin Feng icily. "Go to the city and kill the other invaders?" asked Princess Piao Shui to Lin Feng. "We can crush that stupid thing and then look for the historical remains, we'll find them sooner or later," said Lin Feng, releasing terrifying energies. The princess shuddered with dread. They headed for the castle, the spirit was waiting for them. He said indifferently, "Have you made a decision?" Lin Feng jumped forwards, his eyes turned pitch black, death intent rose up into the air. The evil spirit grunted icily, startled at the sudden attack. He started playing the zither again. However, at the same time, Lin Feng's blood started boiling. Flames appeared as he started shining with power. A fire holy spirit appeared in the air and turned into a sun sword. A death demon holy spirit also appeared and glanced around. Lin Feng threw himself at the evil spirit. "You don't know how to differentiate good from bad," snarled the evil spirit. Silhouettes appeared and charged Lin Feng. Wisdom King Holy Spirit. Lin Feng opened his third eye and 5 Wisdom Kings appeared. They looked wrathful as they attacked the spirits. Imprints crashed down onto the evil spirit. "Die!" Lin Feng raised his fist and the 5 holy spirits continued crushing the evil spirits. A dazzling sharp sword appeared and streaked across the sky, splitting heaven and earth. The sword cut the evil spirit, and many spirits flew towards Lin Feng. "You'll die," shouted a voice. Princess Piao Shui and the others tried to chase him but suddenly, a mist appeared and turned into millions of threads. The evil spirit disappeared within. "Without him leading the way, it won't be easy to find the correct path," said one of Princess Piao Shui's guards. "Since there are 9 palaces, I'm sure the other guardians know where historical remains are. If they don't lead the way, we'll just kill them all and then we'll bring natives to help us find them," said Lin Feng icily. The old men shivered. The imperial concubine had a good sense of judgment. Lin Feng was really strong and smart. Even though the evil spirit wasn't too strong, he was still a great emperor, really strong with a powerful soul. However, the 5 Wisdom Kings had oppressed him and he hadn't withstood a single attack. Lin Feng and the others continued flying. Prince Yan and the others suddenly returned. Prince Yan asked Princess Piao Shui, "Did you kill the spirit?" "He wouldn't have led the way anyway," replied Princess Piao Shui. "Stupid. Don't you know that without him, we probably won't find the entrance? We should have only oppressed him a little bit," Prince Yan said icily. "Prince Yan, Princess Piao Shui is from the Tianxi dynasty, watch your words," said an old man next to Princess Piao Shui. "Bastard, who do you think you are to talk to me?" spat Prince Yan impolitely. "I decided to kill the evil spirit," said Lin Feng calmly. Prince Yan slowly turned to Lin Feng and said, "Lin Feng, even though you have been invited by the Tianxi dynasty, you better not ruin my plans. I do whatever I want, I am not your servant." "Don't try to play smart with me," retorted Lin Feng icily. Prince Yan stared at Lin Feng, remaining silent for a few seconds and said icily, "You better find the historical remains." "You better talk to me in a different way," replied Lin Feng. Prince Yan and the others' faces stiffened. An invisible and intangible oppressive strength began to build. "Brother, We've just arrived, and we need to find the historical remains, said Princess Piao Shui broke in icily. Prince Yen glanced at her and said icily, let's go. They continued flying towards the center of the 9 castles here. Everybody was looking for the historical remains. Chapter 2015, Incredible Sword. The evil spirit was in the central part of his territory. He had been injured by Lin Feng's sword qi. He needed to absorb human beings to recover his pure qi. If those people continued collaborating, he'd die forever. When he thought about that, he started to leave the area. However, a group of people arrived at that moment. The leader of the group was an old man in black clothes. When he saw the evil spirit's qi, he smiled sinisterly. Where are you going? The old man in black clothes asked icily. Why do you care? Replied the evil spirit, equally icily. The old man in black clothes smiled even more nastily and said, everybody, I'll injure him, and we'll take his castle. He can't protect the historical remains anymore. The evil spirits turned deathly pale. He hated Lin Feng. If he had known they'd cooperate no matter what, he wouldn't have taken the actions he had. The wind roared with a thundering rage, carrying a rolling qi. Blood strength filled the air. One of those strong cultivators raised his fist and struck out in the evil spirit's direction. The evil spirit turned to smoke again. However, he was already weakened. Where are you going? Asked the evil old man. The group chased the smoke. The old man released a black imprint and stamped the smoke. The smoke disappeared, but not the black imprint. The old man laughed frantically. Without him, they were sure they were going to die in the historical remains. Lin Feng and the others ran and saw a group of people chasing smoke. They were startled at the sight. Capture it. That black smoke is the evil spirit, shouted the old man in black clothes to Lin Feng and the others. Lin Feng ran after the black smoke, releasing his dozen holy spirits. A terrifying sword qi also streaked across the sky. Appear, said Lin Feng icily. The evil spirit appeared again, looking exhausted. Half of his transparent body had disappeared, and he was looking more and more like an illusion. Lin Feng released sword intent. The evil spirit was terrified. Where are the historical remains? Demanded Lin Feng icily. Block them and I'll take you there, said the evil spirit icily. In response, whistling sounds grew, caused by Lin Feng's sword energies. I'll tell you, the historical remains are under the lake. There's a seal there, I can open it. Help me block them and I'll take you there, said the evil spirit hastily. Lin Feng and the others gazed into the distance. There were many buildings. The lake the evil spirit was talking about was the lake where he was playing the zither a moment before. No wonder they hadn't found it. Lin Feng had actually inspected the water with his godly awareness, but hadn't found anything. Who can open the seal? Asked the man in black clothes. The evil spirit looked terrified. He wanted to escape, but the man in black clothes released a terrifying curtain of black energies to envelope him. Lin Feng's sword energies disappeared. He didn't save the evil spirit. He had unceasingly been trying to fool them. The man in black clothes laughed frantically and said, "How awesome! If I can absorb a few more evil spirits, that'd be awesome. Everybody, help me attack the castles. I'll tell you where all the historical remains are. Now, let's injure these people badly, but don't kill them, I need them." He slowly rose up into the air. The old man in black clothes was also an evil spirit, and not only did he want to absorb the other evil spirits, but he also wanted geniuses. Tianxi Dynasty, Princess Piao Shui, said a young man icily. Prince Damo, we should join hands to oppress the evil spirits and force them to tell us where the historical remains are, then we can kill them, said Princess Piao Shui indifferently. I want to help him, he'll tell me where the historical remains of the 9 castles are. Why would I kill him? Said Prince Damo icily. You think he'll help you, said Prince Piao Shui. Prince Damo was one of two princes from the Great Desert Dynasty. They had invited extremely strong cultivators from Tianyuan ancient cities Yunshao University and some strong cultivators from ancient holy clans. Lin Feng noticed some people he knew, Shi Yunfeng and Wang Zhong. Another one of them looked at Lin Feng icily, but Lin Feng didn't know him. "Who are you?" Lin Feng asked that person. "Heaven Clan, Tsang Yi," said that person icily. Lin Feng remembered the Heaven Clan, and wasn't surprised. He had killed so many people from the Heaven Clan back in the day. He had even exchanged the indestructible Devamara skill with them back then. Lin Feng didn't know how well they could use such a skill. If someone wasn't strong enough, giving them such a powerful skill was useless, and even dangerous for them. The prince of the Great Desert Dynasty smiled coldly when he heard Princess Piao Shui. "Even if we can't get the 9 castles, this one should be fine." No wonder the evil spirit said we had no choice, there are so many morons. You think those evil spirits are stupid? If you don't kill them when you have the chance, do you think they'll let you off? Princess Piao Shui spat icily. "Princess Piao Shui, you talk too much. Since you're from the Tianxi dynasty, I'll give you an opportunity, fight on our side and we'll let your people off. Then, we will head to the other castles," said the Great Desert Dynasty's prince indifferently. "We can't be your allies," replied Princess Piao Shui icily. "Since it's that way, I don't need to be polite," said the Great Desert Dynasty's prince grimly. "You think you're smart, but you're ridiculous," said Lin Feng mockingly, releasing a holy spirit. The others frowned. A holy spirit? That was a technique used by the Holy Spirit dynasty. But Lin Feng had several holy spirits, and they were all really strong. When all the holy spirits transformed, the air began to hum. Lin Feng also released sword energies, his whole aura like an indestructible sword. He absorbed threads of sword intent. The crowd sensed several sorts of cosmic energies. The cosmic energies condensed in those holy spirits and his sword became even more terrifying. "If anyone makes a step forwards, I'll kill them," said Lin Feng aggressively. His sword emitted whistling sounds and moved towards the black evil spirit. The evil spirit grunted icily. He raised his hands and broke the sword's strength. However, the crowd was stupefied because Lin Feng's sword intent was incredible and explosive. Lin Feng managed to get onto the Holy Way stage. "It proves that he's talented, but it doesn't prove he's strong," shouted the Great Desert Dynasty's prince. "Since it's that way, I'll show you," sneered Lin Feng mockingly. "Anyone want to see how strong Lin Feng is?" "Why don't you try?" said the Great Desert Dynasty's prince icily. Tsang Yi released terrifying Heaven Dao power, bearing down with it as he ran forwards. Sword intent appeared in front of him, crackling with power. Brother Tsang Yi is the strongest emperor of the Heaven Clan. He's not weaker than Ji Chang. "Let's see how strong Lin Feng is," said the Great Desert Dynasty's prince indifferently. Tsang Yi was definitely powerful, truly not weaker than Ji Chang. However, Prince Damo said that because he wanted Tsang Yi to use his full strength. Since Prince Damo had complimented him, Tsang Yi had to be strong. Lin Feng couldn't kill Tsang Yi, there were too many people who supported him there. Tsang Yi jumped forwards, his Heaven Dao power filling the air, breaking Lin Feng's sword chi apart. Tsang Yi smiled coldly, "I already have the advantage, you can't kill me." Just as Tsang Yi finished talking, a terrifying sword energy rose up. It was extremely fast, striking like lightning. It contained wind, empty space, earth, fire, and cursing strength. Just the sound it made as it cut the air felt like it was slicing through their souls. Tsang Ye's face turned deathly pale. He shouted furiously. Heaven's strength swelled around him. However, it was all useless. The sword cut apart everything, sword lights appearing from his right foot to the left part of his head. Suddenly, the air became very calm. Chapter 2016, Gloomy Historical Remains. Many people ran away at this display. After the sword lights pierced through Sangyi, they continued moving past him. The crowd saw buildings explode in the distance. How awesome! The atmosphere became eerily silent as everyone looked at Sangyi. There were the sound of an explosion, and a moment later Sangye's body exploded. In midair, the multiple energies continued corroding the pieces of flesh and his body turned to ashes in midair. His group was astonished and shaken. What kind of strength? So many cosmic energies, they thought, staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's holy spirits twinkled and continued absorbing cosmic energies. Lin Feng grabbed his sword and said icily, "Prince Damo, why don't you try fighting against me yourself?" Prince Damo's face stiffened. Lin Feng's sword was deadly. Even Sangyi hadn't had time to react. Even though Jian Mang hadn't seen Lin Feng's sword attack, he had sensed how terrifying it was. Lin Feng's sword wasn't any slower than his now, fast and explosive. He had also noticed, from the whistling sounds, that Lin Feng's sword had traveled faster than sound. He had probably used soundwave energy, too. Jian Mang knew that Lin Feng was an incredible sword cultivator, and seemed to have learned a new skill on top of that. He only managed to kill one person. If you join hands, you can easily kill him, prodded the evil spirit. Lin Feng raised his head to stare at the spirit, and sword intent dashed to the skies. At the same time, in the distance, some splashing sounds were heard. Prince Yen and his group, in the central part, had started attacking the lake to open it up. Water kept spraying spectacularly into the air. A silhouette entered the lake. The crowd was angered. Prince Yen and the others were trying to steal the historical remains before everybody else. Let's go. Silhouettes flickered. Many people forgot about the Great Desert Dynasty's prince. Those people were geniuses from powerful groups, they didn't care about Prince Damo's orders. Prince Damo looked at Lin Feng icily and then continued flying away too. The old man in black clothes looked surprised. These bastards, they were going to look for historical remains just like that. At that moment, Lin Feng was surrounded by sword determination which kept exploding. His energies dashed to the skies. The evil spirit turned into black smoke. The sword sliced apart the black smoke and cut off a small part of it. Lin Feng rose up into the air and holy spirits roared in a thundering rage, continuing to absorb cosmic strength. Lin Feng continued releasing cosmic energies. Lightning, fire, and death strength surrounded the evil black spirit. However, there was still a lot of black smoke. After a short time, a silhouette reappeared. The old man looked much weaker now. He shouted furiously and glared after Lin Feng ferociously. This bastard. He ruined my plan. Without absorbing human and spirits' lives, I can't become stronger. I don't want to be a guardian my entire life. I want to access the historical remains. Thought the evil spirit. He glanced at the people who were trying to break the seal icily and thought, go. Go in there and die. I'll benefit from you people's misfortune. The spirit was convinced their death was going to be tragic. When the foreigners started breaking the seal, they were all very excited. It was an opportunity people had only every 100 years. At that moment, Lin Feng and the others also arrived above the lake. The ancient seal was there. The stronger cultivators kept attacking it like madmen. Finally, they heard it cracking, and the seal started breaking. Rumbling spread out as the ground started shaking. What's going on? Lin Feng and the others frowned. The castle was slowly starting to rise up into the air. The crowd was frozen, watching all this. Very quickly, the castle turned into a country and qi filled the air. Are there really historical remains under the ground? Everybody was amazed. Some people started flying away. People outside of the castle looked at it sharply. Some people opened the seal. Thought the crowd, shaking eagerly. For those people, the historical remains didn't represent an opportunity. Some flew towards the entrance. Lin Feng and the others looked at the qi. They were sure that these historical remains were very old. "Let's go in," said Lin Feng, flying towards the entrance. There was a pale light in the ancient historical remains. It was cold, and things hadn't rotted. "Be very careful, my mother warned me, those historical remains have been left by saints and might be dangerous," said Princess Piao Shui. Everybody nodded and released their godly awareness to inspect the area. It was like another world inside. They had crossed a forest and then seen a mountain range. They all jumped onto a mountain. "How dark, there are caves there," noticed Lin Feng after glancing around. Lin Feng just had to make a step forwards and he'd be in a pit. They all contained a gloomy qi. "I have the sensation we're being watched," said Jian Mang. Everyone shivered at his words. "I do too, but I can't see anything with my godly awareness," agreed Ho Chin Lin. "Let's not go in yet. Let's first go and see what there is here," said Lin Feng walking forwards. Lin Feng and his friends weren't the only ones there. Prince Yen, Prince Damo, and many others were there already. Prince Yen and his people were extremely careful. However, on Prince Damo's side, someone was alone, a member of an ancient holy clan. He was traveling alone in a desolate forest. Suddenly, that person stopped walking. He turned around and saw a terrifying silhouette, moving towards him extremely fast. Die! A terrifying qi invaded the atmosphere. However, the silhouette didn't fight against him, it grabbed his body and penetrated into him. They became one. Suddenly, he shouted explosively. His soul shook violently as if it were about to explode. His face became ferocious. A horrible shriek broke the silence and echoed far away. The whole crowd shivered. When that person came out of the forest, his eyes were extremely sinister. Chu Chun Chiu was also in the historical remains. He had come in from another castle. The evil spirits had deceived everyone. There were passages between the different castles, they were in those passages. What the evil spirits wanted was these humans to kill one another. Chu Chun Chiu was traveling alone, so the same thing happened to him. However, the consequences were completely different. When that silhouette tried to penetrate into his body, Chu Chun Chiu blocked him. His vitality and determination were incredible. The silhouette tried to escape, but Chu Chun Chiu had bound it. He immediately absorbed it entirely. The exact opposite had happened. Chapter 2017, Sword Determination, which never disperses. Lin Feng and the others also heard the shout, which startled them. The historical remains were gloomy, and everyone felt cold. Someone has run into danger. The historical remains are even scarier than we thought, it seems. "We didn't even hear a battle," said Princess Piao Shui. The ancient qi in that place made everyone feel uncomfortable. Even though they were scared, they continued moving forwards. The place was extremely vast. It wasn't merely as big as the castle. "There's someone in front of us," said Jian Mang. He was blind, therefore his other perceptions were more acute than the others. "Are you sure?" asked Lin Feng. He had seen some smoke pass quickly, but it was so fast that he wasn't sure. "I sensed blood qi." "I shouldn't be wrong," said Jian Mang evenly. Lin Feng and the others released their godly awareness and inspected the area. "It will be extremely difficult to find anything here, especially since these historical remains were left by the saints in the ancient past," said Princess Piao Shui with a sigh. Every 100 years, people of their dynasties came to that world, they had never stopped. They all hoped they would find their own ancestors' vestiges. After the dismantling of the Qi Tian dynasty, the dynasties had never had saints again. The saints had all disappeared together. They had never received the original legacy of their ancestors. They had never been able to practice their incredible skills or spells, and they had never seen their ancestors. Maybe their ancestors had left small threads of soul in this world. They had never found a way to become saints because their ancestors, the saints, had never come out. They were usually stuck when they became holy great emperors, they couldn't transcend worldliness. There were half-saints. They were extremely rare but they existed, they had already broken through, but not entirely. Suddenly, a strong wind started blowing behind them. Lin Feng turned around and saw a gigantic black eagle, its claws pointed in their direction. The eagle spat out qi with a horrible putrid stench like death. Princess Piao Shui punched out in that direction. Water appeared, even as Jian Mang also released an incredible light sword. The gigantic eagle caught Jian Mang's sword with its claws. The sword sliced into the claws and the eagle gave out a horrible shriek, spinning away. Lin Feng and the others continued moving forwards. Suddenly, an old man appeared, stretched out his hand and the eagle fell onto his grasp. Lin Feng frowned. The old man's blood qi was extremely powerful. He looked like a human being, but he also looked enigmatic and unfathomable. He was probably a great emperor already, but human beings couldn't be great emperors in this world. Besides, what was he doing in the historical remains? He didn't look like someone who had come from outside, he looked like someone from the historical remains. Master, are you a human being or a spirit? Lin Feng asked the old man. However, the old man merely smiled darkly. His silhouette flickered and he disappeared as if he had never appeared. Was it a human being or a spirit? People's eyes glittered. Not far from Lin Feng, another group of people arrived, Prince Yan and his followers. When they saw that person disappear, they were astonished. Were there great emperors hiding in here? If that was the case, it wasn't a good thing. Did you find anything? Prince Yan asked Lin Feng and the others. And you, brother, retorted Piao Shui for everyone. Prince Yan looked at Piao Shui for a few seconds and then continued walking on, ignoring her. Lin Feng also continued advancing. Danger came from all sides in this place. All those who were alone were attacked. Only those who stayed together were out of danger. The geniuses who had gone there were terrifying, so in groups, they were not easy to defeat, and the evil spirits didn't dare attack them. There's someone. Lin Feng and the others gazed into the distance and saw a new group of people. Lin Feng knew one of them, Ji Chang. The Tianxi dynasty invited him and he's staying with people from other dynasties, said Princess Piao Shui when she saw Ji Chang. She told Lin Feng, there are some people from the He clan, Tian Yuan ancient city. The He clan has several people who are disciples of the Fortune Shrine, some of them have the Fortune Shrine's techniques. Even though the disciples aren't as strong as the elders, they probably can find something. He clan. Lin Feng remained silent. Back in the holy city, he had heard of the He clan. He knew that the Yin clan had invited a member of the He clan to come to use their destiny vision to find Mr. Xiao. That's how they had found out about Lin Feng and Ji Qing Song. Apart from Ji Chang, there are some other people. They've been invited by the Qin dynasty, have you ever seen them? Asked Princess Piao Shui. I know Yin Gu Tian, said Lin Feng. Yin Gu Tian's arm had been regrown by some method. They had probably made great efforts to heal him. And there's Ing Mo, Ing Cheng's younger brother. You probably don't know him because he doesn't practice in the holy city, he lives in Qi Tian holy town. He's very famous here, he's very strong, said Princess Piao Shui. When those people finally noticed them, they looked at Lin Feng icily, especially Ji Chang. Lin Feng looked indifferent. He said to Princess Piao Shui, let's follow them, we might find something. Prince Yan had the same idea. They all followed the Qin dynasty. There were some people from the He clan, so they would have more chances to find things. Nobody knew where they were, so they wandered aimlessly. They arrived at the top of a mountain. The member of the He clan looked at the mountain and said, raise that mountain to the ground. When he said that, everybody started attacking the mountain at the same time. Gigantic hands descended from the sky and crushed the mountain, explosions going off everywhere. The mountain started breaking apart. Under the mountain, there was a hole. A cave, the crowd exclaimed. Something shrieked through the air and one of their men jumped away, but a gigantic eagle appeared and grabbed him with its claws before flying away. Blood kept dripping from the sky and the cultivator kept giving off horrible shrieks. Is he inside? Lin Feng and the others were astonished when they saw a hand come out of the cave. The old man slowly came out. He was still smiling evilly. The eagle came back and landed on the old man's shoulder. Blood was dripping from the eagle's beak. That eagle is so fast, thought the wary crowd. His clothes. Someone had looked at the old man's clothes carefully. They looked ragged, but actually, when looking closer, there were mysterious words and patterns on them. Is he from the old days? Master, who are you? Someone asked the old man. The old man was just smiling. He stepped backwards and disappeared again. Who is he? He looks like a human being. His chi is incredible. However, his chi doesn't seem human, it seems ghostly. There must be something in that cave, said the member of the He clan. I sensed something too. A powerful sword chi, said someone else. They were all staring at the cave. Some sword lights glittered inside, the sword chi looked ancient, as if it had never dispersed. There was a skeleton lying underneath it. Gigantic cave, mysterious old man, immortal sword chi, skeleton. The crowd shuddered with dread. Someone punched out, his attack moved straight into the cave. The walls of the cave exploded with a roar, and it became wider. However, the sword chi didn't disperse. What kind of sword intent is that? Does it belong to a saint? It seems like it has not dispersed since the old days. How terrifying would it be if people could use it to kill? Chapter 2018, Saint Skeleton, There are bones and sword chi, is it a saint skeleton, wondered someone. Everybody shivered. Even if it wasn't a saint skeleton, it looked terrifying, especially that the sword chi around it that had never dispersed. We can't destroy that sword chi. We need to take out the skeleton, someone proposed. People quickly started moving, they started digging all around the cave, they were deeper and deeper under the ground. Very quickly, they were standing under the sword chi curtain. Come out, shouted someone furiously. The skeleton hummed. The immortal sword determination suddenly exploded, sharp energies filling the air. The crowd had the impression they were being attacked by ancient swords. Be careful, Lin Feng shouted loudly. He rose up into the air, grabbing Meng Qing and jumping aside. However, they were too slow, sword lights pierced through Lin Feng's body and blood splashed out. Everybody remained silent. What a terrifying pressure. Phew, Lin Feng took a deep breath, it took him a while to relax. He wasn't badly injured. None of them had managed to escape completely unscathed, everybody had been injured at least a little bit by the sword chi. That immortal sword chi is natural. It's not as explosive as if someone used it to attack, or we would have all died, said Princess Piao Shui. She had not thought it would be so terrifying. Everybody was looking at the skeleton. The skeleton was changing, floating in the air and sword intent kept undulating around it. The crowd was now a fair bit away, but they could sense how terrifying the energies were. That sword determination was indeed strange. That skeleton is even more precious than marks of the path, thought the crowd. Their eyes glittered, staring at the skeleton emitting sword intent. Maybe it's really a saint skeleton and it contains a strong cultivator's thread of consciousness. Even if it's only a thread of consciousness, it's still a precious treasure. They gradually started stirring with excitement. However, as they glanced at one another, they also remembered they had to be careful. Stealing the skeleton wouldn't be that easy. That skeleton might be a saint's skeleton. It contains intent. Taking it won't be easy, murmured Ho Qing Lin. Lin Feng nodded. That skeleton's sword qi intent was incredible. Even though it was only a skeleton, the qi was still powerful. People remained silent for a long time. Finally, someone moved. People just watched him. He ran at full speed towards the skeleton as a strong wind started blowing. His speed is incredible. But even if he obtains it, there are so many strong cultivators, someone is going to kill him, thought Lin Feng. The strong wind blew around the skeleton, sword intent started erupting. The crowd sensed the terrifying sword intent. The skeleton was threatening the cultivator. Time seemed to stop, an ancient cultivator's sword streaked across the sky like they were traveling back in time, leaving the crowd astonished. The wind stopped, the genius reappeared. He was surrounded by sword intent. There was no sword light, no sharp sword, only sword intent. It was corroding his body. Cassiopeia sword, murmured Lin Feng. Many people looked at him. Cassiopeia sword? The princess shivered. She had heard of a saint who was a sword cultivator. His Cassiopeia sword was famous. Cassiopeia was the name of some ancient Buddhist scriptures, the Cassiopeia Bodhisattva was a Buddha. The Cassiopeia sword could destroy time. According to ancient stories, even the saints back then didn't want to fight against him. You surprisingly know about the Cassiopeia sword, asked Princess Piao Shui to Lin Feng. I'm a sword cultivator too, I've naturally heard about it, Lin Feng smiled. He didn't tell her the truth, it was too important to the Holy Spirit dynasty. The Holy Spirit dynasty already wanted his bloodline, so he had to be discreet. The one who had gone to grab the skeleton died to the sword intent. The group then continued slowly walking forwards. However, they were extremely careful, as they weren't only facing the other geniuses, they were also facing a dangerous skeleton. Next to Prince Yen was Wang Jian, his body shining. Armor had appeared around his body, he looked like a warlord. He started walking ahead of everyone else slowly. It's Wang Jian, he practices weapon cultivation. He's extremely strong. The weapon he condenses are terrifying, thought the others. Wang Jian raised his left hand, and a shield appeared. He raised his right hand and a gleaming long golden spear appeared. However, someone else jumped forwards. Shuqing. He released formidable golden lights, a shining golden wind appearing behind him, pressing down on everyone. He had a king-type body, a diamond indestructible king-type body. Like Wang Jian, he was wearing an indestructible armor. In the distance, someone else arrived like a celestial being. The atmosphere was distorting around them. It was a celestial woman, the Holy Jade Princess. Chu Chunqiu also arrived. He was surrounded by ancient kings and sky-absorbing strength. He looked like an emperor. Nobody dared underestimate Chu Chunqiu, he had proven how strong he was. First on the imperial ranking list of the Holy City, then on the Holy Way stage. Apart from Lin Feng and him, nobody else there had managed to do that. Lin Feng was more talented, but Chu Chunqiu was a high-level emperor and controlled sky-absorbing strength. People feared Chu Chunqiu more than they feared Lin Feng. Some other people were moving, Crazy Bull, Ing Mo, the strong cultivator of the He clan, Prince Yen, they all moved to different places and released qi towards the skeleton. This was the first thing they had noticed in this world which could be a precious treasure. It might well be the skeleton of the Cassiopeia saint, filled with his will. Lin Feng released qi around him. He had also gotten ready. Nobody paid particular attention to him. Of course, if he obtained the skeleton, they'd try to get it from him, but that wasn't the case yet. Lin Feng really wanted the skeleton, he could use the sword intent, and the skeleton also seemed to be able to control time. That was very useful too, including for Wuxia, Lin Feng would be happy to share with him. If Wuxia did obtain it, his life would completely change, as he controlled time strength. Chapter 2019, fighting over the skeleton. Wang Jian jumped ahead, shaking the ground. He was getting closer and closer to the skeleton. People were going crazy watching him. "Go!" shouted Wang Jian furiously. A gigantic gold alms bowl moved towards the skeleton, sword intent rising up. The gold alms bowl shook violently, but didn't break as it enveloped the skeleton. The gold alms bowl came back to Wang Jian, but qi invaded the atmosphere. How could the others let him leave with the skeleton? Zhuo Qin jumped forwards, a strong oppressive wind filling the air. Golden kings appeared holding religious tools, rumbling and shaking the air. The gold alms bowl broke apart in front of Wang Jian. Wang Jian sensed the danger, raising his hand and moving backwards. At the same time, a long spear moved towards Zhuo Qin like thunder. Zhuo Qin grunted icily. The atmosphere made everyone catch their breath, more explosions sounding between them. I remember someone once said Zhuo Qin and Wang Jian were similarly strong. If they fought for real, I wonder how terrifying their battle would be. The two cultivators continued fighting. At the same time, around the Holy Jade Princess, the air was starting to bend. She shook her hands and empty space energies moved towards the skeleton and surrounded it. Chu Chunqiu immediately reacted when he saw that the skeleton was possibly a saint from the ancient days. It was a great treasure for him. He couldn't give up. The reason why he had come to the holy place was because of the other geniuses and because of the treasures. He could swallow their wills and make them his own. Chu Chunqiu shook his hand and a terrifying strength enveloped the distorted area, the Holy Jade Princess grunting icily. She made some hand seals. The atmosphere became even more distorted. Sky-absorbing strength collided with it and the skeleton was stuck between their energies. Zhuo Qin ran forwards and stretched out his hands. His whole body was surrounded by a thick armor. His helmet was the thickest and hardest part of his armor. He preferred being careful. A terrifying strength whistled. Wang Jian's spear streaked across the sky and thrust at Zhuo Qin. His whole strength surrounded the saint. The skeleton seemed furious at that moment. An invisible and intangible sword appeared and cut apart the sky-absorbing strength. Sword intent rolled in waves all around those four people. The saint has a soul. We must join hands, otherwise he'll get furious, shouted Chu Chunqiu loudly. Determination emerged from his third eye and absorbed the sword intent. The crowd shivered at seeing that. That guy was insane. Sky-absorbing strength was just too terrifying. Zhuo Qin was wearing armor, Wang Jian had a shield, the Holy Jade Princess was surrounded by distorted empty space energies, the sword intent couldn't affect them. At that moment, cyan lights streaked across the sky. The crowd was stunned when the skeleton suddenly disappeared. "Who?" shouted someone explosively. The crowd gazed into the distance and found Lang Yi running away. "Lang Yi, World King body," the crowd snarled. It was him. He had used world strength and had managed to take the skeleton. "Chase him!" The crowd followed him at full speed. Wang Jian and the others looked particularly angry and pulled long faces. "Don't run chaotically, this place is very dangerous," said Lin Feng to Princess Piao Shui. When Princess Piao Shui looked at Lin Feng's eyes, she shivered. He looked firm and aggressive. She knew that place was dangerous, but how could she give up the skeleton? But she also knew that obtaining the skeleton would be dangerous. "All right, let's go together," said Princess Piao Shui. "Wait for me," said Lin Feng to Meng Qing and Ho Qinglin. Then, he moved away in a blur of movement. Holy spirits appeared. Lin Feng jumped onto its back and accelerated. After Lang Yi took the skeleton, he flew away. He could feel the pressure from behind him. "Stop!" shouted someone explosively, making his soul shake violently. Wang Jian chopped down and a trail of sharp sword energies appeared. Lang Yi was surrounded by lights. When the sharp sword appeared near him, the atmosphere became distorted, cyan lights appeared and the sword energies disappeared inside. World strength. Wang Jian's eyes glittered darkly as he snarled furiously. Many sharp swords appeared as he continued running after Lang Yi. Chu Chun Chiu also chased him, continually releasing Ancient King intent. Even though he was some distance away, Lang Yi felt under pressure. Ancient Kings appeared in his mind, wanting to kill him. Lang Yi suddenly had a headache as all sorts of strength bore down on him. He was terribly annoyed. Would he be able to keep the skeleton? Lang Yi stretched out his hands and released cyan world lights. However, they quickly disappeared. He felt dispirited, he had no choice but to give the skeleton up. Lang Yi, shouted Lin Feng extremely loudly. Lang Yi turned around and saw Lin Feng on his sword, moving extremely fast. Grab it. Lang Yi threw the skeleton at Lin Feng. Lin Feng's sword whistled as a mysterious qi rose up into the air. Lin Feng, Chu Chun Chiu and the others suddenly turned around. They looked at Lin Feng and stopped chasing Lang Yi, turning towards Lin Feng. They were interested in the skeleton, not Lang Yi. Can that guy absorb the skeleton? Thought Lang Yi in the distance. He was annoyed by his weakness. If he had been really strong, with his world strength, nobody would have been able to chase him. He needed to become much stronger. Back then, Chu Chun Chiu and Lang Yi were similarly strong in the vast celestial ancient city, but now things had changed. Lin Feng was on his holy spiritual sword and moving blindingly fast. However, the others were still chasing him. Chu Chun Chi shouted explosively. His vitality and determination strength became even more powerful, his chi even scarier. A sharp sword appeared under his feet and he accelerated. The Holy Jade Princess was the fastest one. She looked like a celestial being. Surprisingly, Zhuqing was the slowest one, not quite as fast as the others. Some people started using great imperial weapons to chase him. They were all geniuses who had great imperial weapons. In normal circumstances they didn't use them, but now chasing Lin Feng was more important. These guys are so fast, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't want to do the same as Lang Yi and give up the skeleton. After a short time, Lin Feng arrived in front of the valley with the gigantic black hole. Suddenly, he turned around and his holy spirits appeared in front of him. He also released sword intent, and in front of him a dozen swords suddenly appeared. Chu Chun Chiu and Wang Jian suddenly stopped, as did the Holy Jade Princess. They were all surprised and staring at Lin Feng. Lin Feng, the Tianxi dynasty invited you, we should join hands. You can't absorb that skeleton on your own. Give it to me, Wang Jian said to Lin Feng sharply. Lin Feng merely smiled coldly. Chapter 2020, Darkness, whether I can use it or not has nothing to do with you. I already have the skeleton. I won't give it to you, said Lin Feng icily. A strong wind started condensing. Chu Chun Chiu also arrived. Nobody dared act recklessly. If they all got angry, the battle would become extremely dangerous. Lin Feng, if we join hands to fight against you, you will die, Zhuqing said icily. You were the most talented at the Holy Spirit dynasty, dying would be a pity. Since you have the potential to become a peerless cultivator, why would you want to have a peerless cultivator's skeleton? I do want it, said Lin Feng indifferently. Then, he stepped backwards and slowly fell down into the abyssal dark hole. Chu Chun Chiu and the others were astonished and dashed after him. They focused their godly awareness into the dark hole, but saw nothing at all. Cultivators could see perfectly at night, especially at that cultivation level, but this wasn't night, and it wasn't darkness. They looked uncertain now. If Lin Feng attacked them by surprise in the black hole, they'd die. After all, even though none of them thought Lin Feng was stronger than they were, they didn't underestimate him either, especially since he had a terrifying sword intent. Lin Feng stole the skeleton, and you let him off, asked some other people who arrived at that moment. Some of them immediately jumped into the black hole and released their godly awareness to inspect the area, remaining vigilant. Lin Feng fell and fell. It seemed like an endless black hole. After a long time, Lin Feng still hadn't landed. He could only see a few centimeters around him, it was too dark. He couldn't see things clearly even when they were a few centimeters away, it was too gloomy. Princess Piao Shui and Meng Qin also arrived at the top of the black hole, their hearts pounding. Someone released fireballs to illuminate the black hole, but they exploded without showing anything. After a long time, Lin Feng finally landed on the ground. He could also see a gigantic black entity with softly humming chains. What the hell is that? What are those chains? Murmured Lin Feng, feeling the ancient qi. This place was so old. Lin Feng raised his head, his qi rising. Lin Feng sensed qi around him and understood that people were still chasing him. His sword Holy Spirits appeared around him once more. Dazzling lights appeared in Lin Feng's field of vision. Wang Jian was the first one to arrive. They were both blind in here. Lin Feng could only see small lights. A terrifying sword intent rose up into the air. Wang Jian was shocked, crazily attacking blindly around him. Crackling sounds announced the incoming sword qi shattering, but his shield shook and shattered at the impact. Wang Jian was suddenly surrounded by deadly energies. His armor became even more dazzling. He threw his spear, which streaked across the sky. Death swords appeared as he continued descending from the sky. A gigantic disc appeared under his feet, and another silver blade appeared in his hands. Even though Lin Feng couldn't see it, he could sense it. Energies slammed together and exploded. Wang Jian knew he hadn't reached Lin Feng. Higher up into the air, more people were descending. Lin Feng smiled icily. Suddenly, he struck out skywards, and someone grunted painfully. "Be careful, he's underneath us," shouted Wang Jian. He stopped his attack and continued descending the hole. A strong wind started blowing, bearing down from Zhuoqing. Whistling sounds spread in the air. More and more strong cultivators were coming down the black hole. At that moment, Lin Feng could sense that the chains were shaking. He looked at the chains, but didn't see anyone. Clang, clang. The chains shook again and broke the eerie silence. Apart from the soughing of the wind, they could only hear the chains shake. The sound was getting louder and louder. In the end, the ground also started shaking as they heard stone cracking. What's going on? Lin Feng was wary. He could sense the ground was shaking under his feet. He rose up into the air, but at that moment, a gigantic boulder exploded and stones started falling down from the sky. The crowd in the black hole heard the rumbling, their qi rose. When the stones finished exploding, Lin Feng saw a gigantic human silhouette. The chains prevented him from moving. The crowd above him saw a pair of eyes. Even the darkness of the black hole couldn't stop the lights emitted by those dazzling eyes. They were suddenly terrified. A monster, that's a monster of darkness, people's hearts started pounding. Chu Chunqiu, Wang Jian, and the others ascended rapidly, they were too scared. They wanted to escape. A golden wind turned into deployment lights. Lin Feng cast a deployment spell and rose up into the air. Phew, Lin Feng heard a sigh. A gigantic black stick appeared, a dazzling light moved, then there was rumbling and an explosive impact. A strong cultivator was crushed instantly by the black stick. Everyone tried to escape. They couldn't breathe anymore, they were terrified to death. "Dodge!" shouted Jian Mang. He sensed that something wrong was happening. There were more explosions, and Piao Shui and the others were smashed away. Someone was killed behind them, dead without knowing what slew him. In the depths of the black hole, golden lights glittered. Lin Feng took out a talisman, his silhouette flickering several times as deployment lights kept flashing. He had the sensation he could barely breathe. Walla walla. The monster looked at Lin Feng, seeing that Lin Feng wanted to escape and wanting to chase him, but he was chained. He opened his mouth and spat out qi. Everybody heard him, the noise shaking everyone's soul and threatening to collapse the cave. Some people kept coughing up blood. Some even exploded and died. How terrifying, thought Lin Feng. He kept coughing up blood. He had the sensation his soul was going to explode. Even Saint Emperors didn't have such a terrifying strength. Shi Ju Lao Xian's strength was that oppressive, but Lin Feng had never really tried to fight against him, so he didn't know how strong he really was. Is the saint still alive? Wondered the shaken Lin Feng. Chu Chunqiu and the others were also terrified. Was that really a monster? Or was that a human being? Who had chained such a terrifying creature? How powerful were the chains? Who could chain a peerless monster? People started panicking in the black hole. Many of them fled blindly. They didn't care about anyone else anymore, they just wanted to survive. At the exit of the cave, a gloomy black shadow appeared. It looked ancient and was staring at all of them. They felt hopeless. The dark silhouette suddenly released a gigantic hand, descending from the sky and trailing thunder. Many people were crushed by that hand and collapsed. Escape, everybody was just thinking of one thing, how to escape. Some people even forgot about the creature in the black hole. Chapter 2021, Fangs. The situation was chaotic inside the black hole. Some people attacked one another without realizing it. As Lin Feng was throwing talismans, he was gaining altitude and sensed attacks all around him. He had the feeling he was going to suffocate as he released sword energies in every direction around him. How dangerous. Lin Feng sensed some more punches pass next to him. He was sweating coldly, but he kept calm and continued ascending. Another roar made the whole cave shake, including those inside it. It sounded like a demon king at the bottom of the black hole was howling furiously. The cave continued shaking. A gigantic hand emerged from the bottom of the cave, shooting skywards. This time, the demon king wasn't controlling himself anymore. The whole cave was trembling, frightening everyone. Lin Feng was already high up in the air. Chu Chunqiu and the others had given up and were running away. They were extremely quick, so they had already passed many other people. At that moment, many people who were not fast enough were still in the cave, and sensed that a gigantic hand was closing in on them from behind. Chu Chunqiu roared out like thunder, releasing his vitality and strength of intent. He was surrounded by beautiful lights, and moving incredibly fast. People were astonished as he flew by them in the blink of an eye. Zhuo Qing and Wang Jian were already using their trump cards. The danger was real, their lives were in peril. Lin Feng also used his full strength, deployment lights appeared around him and he moved invisibly fast. The gigantic hand passed near Lin Feng. He managed to dodge it, but several other people weren't as lucky. Ing Yimo was also still inside. He was quite strong, so he had dared enter the black hole. The gigantic hand closed, people outside shuddered with dread and ran away, not daring to stay. There was a furious demon here. Lin Feng did the same, trying to leave as quickly as possible. Who knew how powerful that chain demon was? If he managed to break free from the chains, he might kill everybody in the blink of an eye. When Lin Feng left the cave, his silhouette flickered and he landed at the top of a mountain. He glanced around, looking stunned. Outside, everything had changed. It wasn't a castle anymore, there were authentic historical remains. Lin Feng glanced around and saw blood everywhere. What a tragedy! Lin Feng called out someone in the distance icily. Give me the skeleton, someone else demanded harshly. They were getting closer and closer to him. At that moment, Lin Feng released holy spirits, and on at his back, a gigantic sword appeared. The sun was shining upon it as it hummed and glowed. Come and take it. Lin Feng replied indifferently. He didn't sound nervous at all. He just looked at the two cultivators who were coming towards him. To him, they were already dead. "Die," said one of them, charging and raising their fist. 5 rays of light appeared. The other one released a blood sun, and Lin Feng's blood started boiling. Lin Feng raised his gigantic sword and grunted icily. He destroyed the many punches, which exploded and dispersed harmlessly. Even if his enemy used out power, he could still crush them. Lin Feng's sword continued shooting forwards. It was magnificent and its chi was rolling about it. The scorching blood sun moved to meet the sword, dazzling and beautiful. The sword pierced through the sun, thrusting towards the man. It cut him apart and Lin Feng charged the other enemy, the wind whistling at his speed. When the strong cultivator noticed Lin Feng charging him, he looked petrified. He waved his hand, and Lin Feng's blood started boiling even more, and it even seemed his soul was burning. At the same time, his opponent continued moving down to oppress him, sending a fire dragon at Lin Feng. Lin Feng punched out, creating a golden path in front of him. It pierced through the fire dragon, exactly in the middle of it, and continued towards the controller. Lin Feng then released a Nihility sword. At the same time, he released his 5 Wisdom King Holy Spirits, all of them looking alive and furious. His enemy had no way to escape. When his opponent tried to use his mind to protect himself, the terrifying sword was already in front of him and his face turned deathly pale. "Prasama burns," said the man, raising his hand. However, Lin Feng ignored him and continued charging while condensing sword intent. Dazzling lights were shining. Lin Feng's sword continued attacking. Lin Feng and the man were now close to one another. The Prasama Burn's fireball was cut in half, and a sword mark appeared on the man's third eye. Lin Feng put his finger on his enemy's third eye, and the man's entire body exploded. Lin Feng continued on without breaking a step. To him, he had just killed a random person in his way. Some people in the distance saw that and were astonished, and suddenly nobody wanted to fight against him anymore. His sword attacks were too terrifying. He had cut apart 2 geniuses in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng gazed into the distance and condensed more holy spirits, finally condensing a sword technique with a terrifying strength. However, he didn't think he could deal with many emperors at the same time. If they joined hands, it could be dangerous for him. Lin Feng left without turning around. After a long time, Lin Feng arrived in another mountain range. He glanced around and carved some deployment marks. At the same time, he informed Meng Qing and the others of his circumstances. He also created a clone and started practicing cultivation on his deployment spell. Lin Feng didn't take out the skeleton, it was too powerful and he couldn't control it. He continued studying his holy spirits. He sat down cross-legged and forgot about the outside world, descending into a deep meditative state. He observed cursing strength and used his celestial evolution holy scriptures to modify it. He turned it into a Wisdom King Holy Spirit. At the same time, he released demon intent, trying various things. In the end, he managed to create a cursing Holy Spirit. He wasn't done, however. He tried making a 9 Netherworlds Holy Spirit next. After seeing the Demon King in the black hole, Lin Feng had realized that this place was even more terrifying than he had thought. The benighted Demon King of Darkness was enchained, but who had bound him? And what was that enchained Demon King's cultivation level? At that moment, Meng Qing and Ho Qing Lin were not together, they had scattered while escaping from the demon in the black hole. Lin Feng had contacted them telepathically, so they were all flying in his direction. Someone in blue clothes appeared on Ho Qing Lin's left. That person turned around and saw Ho Qing Lin, looking at him coldly. The person in blue clothes charged Ho Qing Lin, terrifying energies reaching out to oppress him. Chu Chunqiu. Chu Chunqiu was terrifying, his eyes looked even more frightening. Ho Qing Lin retreated and took out a sword. He immediately released reincarnation energies and a vortex appeared. Ho Qinglin didn't want to fight, he knew he was too weak compared to Chu Chunqiu. Explosions sounded as Chu Chunqiu destroyed the vortex. He released vitality and will strength and accelerated. "You won't leave," stated Chu Chunqiu icily. He continued chasing Ho Qinglin. Each time he took a step, he traveled a long distance. It was incredible to watch. So this was Chu Chunqiu's goal. Ho Qinglin kept running away. Chu Chunqiu had studied the sky-absorbing scriptures. He could absorb people's vitality and will strength and use it for himself. Chu Chunqiu used to be discreet, but after the Pathfinder Day of the Imperial ranking list, he had started baring his fangs. Chapter 2022, brought to light. Ho Qinglin had guessed right, Chu Chunqiu had started showing his strength, his plot was coming to light. In the historical remains, there were only geniuses, their vitality and willpower were incredible. Ho Qinglin controlled reincarnation strength and was walking on the path of reincarnation. Chu Chunqiu wanted to absorb that strength and use it for himself. With such powers, he had the potential to become a peerless cultivator, and if he did, he'd become really terrifying. Reincarnation intent. "I want it," shouted Chu Chunqiu explosively. He accelerated and released even more vitality and will strength. Ho Qinglin's mind was trembling as ancient kings kept penetrating into his brain. Chu Chunqiu released more vitality and will which surrounded Ho Qinglin. He couldn't escape anymore. Dong! Ho Qinglin suddenly stopped. Since he couldn't escape, he had no choice but to fight. His reincarnation strength turned into a hurricane. He started moving, and releasing sword strength too. His reincarnation strength surrounded Chu Chunqiu, driving Chu Chunqiu to reincarnate. "I want your reincarnation strength." Chu Chunqiu shouted excitedly when he sensed the reincarnation strength. He released an endless stream of vitality and will, shaking the air. The reincarnation wind broke apart as a gigantic hand descended from the sky towards Ho Qinglin. Ho Qinglin looked glum and a bit crazy. A vortex appeared around him, his strength dashed to the skies and rolled in waves towards Chu Chunqiu. Chu Chunqiu was manically staring at him, and grunted icily. He didn't dare absorb the reincarnation strength immediately. He used several sorts of strength to attack the reincarnation wind, hammering Ho Qinglin. At the same time, Chu Chunqiu didn't stop, continuing to fly towards Ho Qinglin. Ho Qinglin's face turned deathly pale. He took a deep breath and released intent again. He hadn't thought Chu Chunqiu would ever attack him like this. Chu Chunqiu was getting closer and closer. Ho Qinglin wasn't happy, but he didn't look scared, just angry. However, at that moment, a coffin appeared containing terrifying cyan lights. A hand emerged from the coffin and moved towards Ho Qinglin. The cyan lights blotted out the sky. When Chu Chunqiu saw that, his face stiffened. However, he didn't chase the coffin, he just stared at the cyan lights icily as they swept Ho Qinglin away. "World King Body. I'll capture you someday too," swore Chu Chunqiu icily. Ho Qinglin and Lang Yi reappeared somewhere well out Chu Chunqiu's range. "Thank you very much, Lang Yi," said Ho Qinglin. "It was just a slight effort. I've always known that Chu Chunqiu was terrifying. I am from the vast celestial ancient city, too. Now, we finally know he's evil," Lang Yi said calmly. Ho Qinglin nodded. "He's definitely fearsome, talented and strong. He tried to attack me, which means he probably intends to attack other geniuses. He probably won't dare attack geniuses in front of everyone." Back in the days, the insane cultivator of the Chu clan was aggressive and violent too, but he was more discreet. He had absorbed many strong cultivators' strengths. Many ancient holy clans wanted to kill him, and all because of him, the Chu clan fell and was destroyed. I wouldn't have thought an even scarier cultivator would emerge in the Chu clan. Chu Chunqiu knew he had to remain discreet, Lang Yi said solemnly. Chu Chunqiu is very dangerous. If you hadn't helped, he would have killed me. Before I left to travel alone, the elders of my clan warned me that the geniuses of the Chu clan were dangerous. They were wise. They were traveling and chatting at the same time. After some time, they arrived at the mountain range where Lin Feng had fled to, and landed near him. Brother, Lang Yi, how come you're together? Asked Lin Feng, nodding at both of them. It was his clone. He was practicing cultivation with his real body inside his deployment spell. Lang Yi found me and saved me after Chu Chunqiu tried to kill me. Lin Feng, you have to be very careful, Ho Qing Lin warned Lin Feng. Since Chu Chunqiu hadn't hesitated to attack him, it meant that Chu Chunqiu would also dare attack Lin Feng at some point. He was just waiting for an opportunity. Chu Chunqiu was probably very interested in absorbing Lin Feng's strength, since he had proved he was the most talented back at the Holy Spirit dynasty. When Lin Feng heard Ho Qing Lin, he was astonished and asked, Chu Chunqiu attacked you, brother? Indeed, I bumped into him and he tried to absorb my strength using sky-absorbing strength. Lang Yi rescued me. Chu Chunqiu probably wants to absorb all the geniuses' strength here in this mysterious world, Ho Qing Lin nodded. Chu Chunqiu was dangerous, Lin Feng had to understand that. Chu Chunqiu. Lin Feng was furious. He knew that Chu Chunqiu absorbed people's strength to become stronger. He also knew that he was very talented, but he initially didn't care. But now Chu Chunqiu had attacked Ho Qing Lin, it was the same as if he had been attacked personally, there was no difference. By the way, have you seen Meng Qing? Ho Qing Lin asked Lin Feng. If Chu Chunqiu bumped into Meng Qing, it would be a catastrophe. Yes, she's already inside the deployment spell, said Lin Feng, pointing at the illusion behind them. Ho Qing Lin was relieved. In the distance, some people had noticed the deployment lights behind Lin Feng. They stared at Lin Feng icily, he had obtained the skeleton, they wouldn't forget that. When they saw Lin Feng and his friends, they didn't dare act recklessly. Lin Feng saw more and more people gathering in the distance, but he kept calm. What should we do? Lang Yi asked Lin Feng. There are many geniuses in the historical remains. But we still haven't had a big battle. If we did, it'd be funny. Whispered Lin Feng. Lang Yi glanced at Lin Feng, thinking he was crazy. Lin Feng wanted to fight against all the geniuses directly. People from Goblin Spirit University, Lang Yi pointed out. Lin Feng nodded. Prince Chen was there, too. Lin Feng, I've heard that you have the skeleton. Since you were invited by the Tianxi dynasty, give it to me. The Tianxi dynasty will pay the price for it. Prince Chen proposed loudly. I was invited by the Tianxi dynasty to come and explore historical remains, but nobody told me it was to give you treasures. Princess Piao Shui has never told me that, either. So I won't give you anything, replied Lin Feng indifferently. Prince Chen frowned and smiled, Lin Feng, I'm being nice, but you will encounter more and more people. Some of them won't be as nice as me. Don't worry about me, Prince Chen, Lin Feng answered mock gratefully. You managed to sit on the Holy Imperial throne on the Holy Way stage in the Holy Spirit dynasty. If you died, it would be a pity, said Prince Chen, sounding colder and colder. Prince Chen, you are a prince. You have a high social status, if you died here, it'd be a pity, was the instant comeback. When Prince Chen heard Lin Feng's taunt, he was furious and asked, on the other day, Crazy Bull didn't use his full strength against you, so you won, but what if he had? Crazy Bull slowly appeared and looked at Lin Feng grimly. Lin Feng, I progressed a lot. Now, we'll see if you can still compete with me. Lin Feng's real body came out of the fog behind him. He looked at those people scornfully and said breezily, try and you'll see. Alright, shouted Crazy Bull loudly. He released a terrifying bestial chi, shaking the air about him, and charged ahead. Crazy Bull struck out as he rose into the air, dust billowing around him. Chapter 2023, Carving Deployment Marks. Lin Feng ran forwards, his holy spirits turning into gigantic swords. He waved his hands, and the gigantic swords flared with light, the sun shining down upon them as they hummed with power. Lin Feng stretched his finger out, and the swords merged into one. The prince's people started suffocating. Lin Feng moved his finger and his sword started destroying everything in their way. The sword intent surged to meet Crazy Bull, whose face stiffened when he sensed the sword intent. His heart started pounding. What a sharp sword intent, it could cut him apart. He didn't have time to think of what to do, the sword was too fast. Arg! He shouted desperately, a gigantic bull appearing and blotting out the sky. The gigantic sword began to distort, the air sealed with all those energies. However, it still seemed that nothing could stop that sword. The gigantic bull roared and disappeared. Nothing could stop the sword. More and more bulls appeared and tried to block it. The gigantic bulls fused together into a single gigantic bull which lashed out at it. Explosions rocked the sky. The gigantic sword and the gigantic bull dispersed. Crazy Bull dropped from the sky and landed on the ground. He looked at Lin Feng, who was still in the sky. There were several more swords suspended in front of Lin Feng. His heart began to pound. He remained silent for a few seconds and then said, "I wouldn't have thought you were so strong. What is that spell you're using?" "It's from the Holy Spirit dynasty." His Dao strength couldn't stop the gigantic sword. Prince Chen was surprised too. He knew perfectly well how strong Crazy Bull was, he was a fearsome champion. Surprisingly, Lin Feng could compete with him. In the distance, many other people had arrived. Prince Chen turned around to look at them, then he said to Lin Feng, "Lin Feng, you're very strong, but you can't fight alone against so many geniuses. You can't protect the skeleton. We should join hands. Give it to me for now, and when we go back to the dynasty, I will let you study it, you will be able to absorb some of its strength. You want to take my item and then lend it to me, you think I'm stupid?" Lin Feng replied icily to Prince Chen. "You want to bring about your own destruction," said Prince Chen calmly. More and more strong cultivators were gathering and looking at the three of them. "Lin Feng, give me the skeleton," demanded Wang Jian icily. He was holding his spear and qi spinning around him. Some people had died in the black hole because of Lin Feng, and they still didn't know what that demon king was. Princess Piao Shui had also arrived. When she saw the three cultivators at the top of the mountain, she was nervous. How brave! There were so many geniuses, yet Lin Feng didn't mind, he looked calm and fearless. "Lin Feng, you're lucky, you have the potential to become a peerless cultivator, you have to understand that if you don't hand the skeleton over though, you will definitely die. He wants to die. We don't need to be polite to him." People spoke up one after another. The wind howled past them, fluttering Lin Feng's clothes. He looked quite calm and unimpressed, not nervous at all. "Die. Kill them. Kill him and take the skeleton." People started releasing energies. They all looked at him icily. Behind Wang Jian, many spears appeared, he looked even more ferocious and fierce. Wang Jian started charging, his spears pointed at Lin Feng. It seemed like they could pierce through anything. "Go!" Wang Jian's spears streaked across the sky, diffusing ice-cold qi, aimed at Lin Feng. Lang Yi also started moving. He raised both hands and dazzling cyan lights appeared, turning into a hole that bent the air and light around it. The spears looked extremely sharp. Lang Yi kept waving his hands, and when the spears penetrated into the cyan lights, it was as if they had broken in two and simply disappeared. World empty space. Wang Jian grunted icily. More people rose up into the air. Lin Feng watched them grimly. He waved his hands, and a blade-sharp golden wind started blowing. Empty space deployment lights appeared everywhere. Lin Feng stretched out his hands and used his celestial stage deployment spell, several mountains appearing. Since Lin Feng is not willing to cooperate, we don't need to be polite to him. Kill him. Prince Yan ordered at that moment calmly. Several cultivators started flying towards Lin Feng. The earth and sky started resonating and shaking violently. Energies rose explosively to meet them. Fissures appeared in the mountains underneath Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked at the crowd icily. A holy spirit appeared and moved into the celestial stage deployment spell, followed by several others. Lin Feng was surrounded by lights of wisdom. Wang Jian grunted icily. His golden spears continued shooting out. However, even though they pierced through the Wisdom Kings, they didn't destroy them. Lin Feng released 5 more holy spirits. At the same time, his 5 Wisdom Kings surrounded the incoming crowd. Wisdom Kings appeared in their brains and their souls started trembling. One more silhouette appeared, a 9 Netherworld's Demon King. He started singing, and the sound wave caused by the melodies pierced through their bodies, trying to control them. "Move," shouted Wang Jian. He frowned as more chi rose, the swords also humming along. The sounds kept piercing through people's ears. The attackers realized it didn't look good for them. Lin Feng's deployment spells were incredible, and his strength kept gaining in intensity. There were multiple explosions as Lin Feng attacked all those cultivators at the same time. Lang Yi and Ho Qing Lin landed on Lin Feng's left and right. Lang Yi released world lights which, a few seconds later, spat out 3 corpses. Ho Qing Lin also released reincarnation strength, and even though he didn't manage to kill enemies, he could at least prevent them from moving forwards. Stars appeared and descended from the sky, shooting towards Lin Feng. The air became ice-cold around them, but Lin Feng ignored that, his hair fluttering in the wind, free and unrestrained. He released Death Culpa swords, which kept fusing together with the celestial stage deployment spell. Holy spirits kept condensing in front of Lin Feng. A gigantic sword slashed across the sky. The strong cultivators were stunned. They all used their most powerful attacks to stop it, but Lin Feng's attack still killed someone, his head flying away. A strong wind kept pushing against them. Lin Feng released World of the Living Imprints, fusing them with the celestial stage deployment spell. The combined energies surrounded the crowd. Lin Feng didn't stop after having released World of the Living Imprints, he continued releasing Holy Spirit lights, and his sword continued humming ominously. "Let's move back," said Lin Feng calmly. They slowly moved back into the fog of the deployment spell. He couldn't kill those geniuses easily, but at least he could teach them a good lesson, and they wouldn't forget how strong he was for a while. Boom boom. The attackers converged on the celestial stage deployment spell. Even though Lin Feng had killed several people already, they were so furious that they didn't want to let him off. Die, die, die. Whistling sounds spread out as the crowd attacked. The strong cultivators wanted to attack Lin Feng and the 2 others, but realized that they were merely smiling icily back at them. "Illusion, it's a deployment spell again. Go in, break the deployment spell, and kill them," exclaimed Wang Jian, surging ahead. A dazzling armor appeared around him, and he condensed a spear and a shield, all in the blink of an eye. They charged into the deployment spell. They were all really strong, all of them geniuses, and they didn't fear the deployment spell. Chu Chunqiu was standing in the distance and calmly watching the battle. He didn't go into Lin Feng's deployment spell, as he knew perfectly well how powerful Lin Feng's deployment spells were. Chapter 2024, Collapsing Sky. In the fog of the deployment spell, the strong cultivators had the impression they were in a dream. Deployment lights kept twinkling and undulating around them, and they felt strength condense. "Break!" Wang Jian shouted icily. He waved his hand, and his spears thrust into the ground. He leapt away as golden marks appeared on the ground. It was like the deployment marks were about to break. Sky-destroying weapon. Wang Jian shouted furiously. He summoned weapons, and at the same time he attacked all parts of the deployment spell. There were rumbles of defiance, the deployment spell sounded like it was going to explode. The others also used powerful attacks against the deployment spell. At that moment, a powerful death intent rose up and started eating away at their life force. Humph, someone grunted icily. Someone rose higher and released explosive and dazzling lightning bolts all around. Purple lights assaulted the deployment spell as a strong wind started blowing. Lin Feng was watching them coldly. All those people were all geniuses, relying solely on deployment strength to defeat them would be difficult. Sword intent filled the air. The crowd saw millions of threads of light, raised their heads and shouted furiously. However, the death intent was also becoming ever more intense, their lives were being corroded. Faces started turning gray. Someone said icily, "We need to destroy the deployment spell as soon as possible, or we'll die. We can also kill him, I'll use Star Dao to find Lin Feng inside the deployment spell," someone spoke up. Dazzling Dao power filled the sky. A constellation appeared, and inside the deployment spell, people were suddenly marked by star imprints, including Lin Feng. A destructive spear shot towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was surprised by the move, but he released World of the Living imprints to counter the attack. "Freeze!" shouted someone icily. The death strength inside the deployment spell froze. Lin Feng merely smiled coldly. The strong wind turned into a hurricane, and started moving out of the deployment spell. "Get out of the deployment spell," said Lin Feng. In a flash, Lang Yi, Ho Qing Lin, Meng Qing and he left the deployment spell. The enemies inside it lost track of him. Can the stars find him outside of the deployment spell? The deployment spell contains illusion strength, the stars can find people inside. We can't find him outside, all we have to do is break the deployment spell, said the Star Dao controller. A terrifying great imperial strength emerged. The crowd was startled. Someone was using a great imperial weapon. People didn't care about anything else if they could get the skeleton. Lin Feng looked at the deployment spell icily. He was furious. Surprisingly, someone dared use a great imperial weapon. Lin Feng took out his celestial evolution chessboard, and his deployment spell started changing. Gigantic waves of energies gushed forth. The celestial evolution chessboard became gigantic, and Lin Feng jumped atop it. His death intent blotted out the sky and absorbed ever more power. At the same time, Lin Feng released 2 demon punches. The strong wind roared violently. Lin Feng descended from the sky and penetrated into the demon spell, his demon punches striking out. The 2 gigantic punches were monstrously strong, and faces stiffened. They could sense that the death energies were becoming much stronger. At the same time, a death pattern was pressing down on them. Death lights twinkled around the celestial evolution chessboard, and those trapped within looked increasingly desperate. "Kill Lin Feng," said someone icily. A gigantic black bell appeared, the chi which emerged from it kept turning into threads of energies which looked like Maharagas. At the same time, Lin Feng released lightning, which fell onto them like a storm. Lin Feng moved around, his silhouette kept twinkling here and there on the celestial evolution chessboard. Thunder rumbled darkly as death strength kept bearing down on the trapped men. They saw Lin Feng for a few seconds, he looked crazy as he used his celestial evolution chessboard to even dodge their attacks. Many of them were now surrounded by death chi, and had the sensation they were losing control. Some of them started regretting having engaged in a battle with him, including the one with the great imperial weapon. Lin Feng released more Holy Spirit swords, and at the same time continued striking out with demon punches. He really wanted to kill these people, otherwise the same thing would happen over and over again. It would be too troublesome. At that moment, Wang Jian took out a real spear. It was 33 qi long, and strength condensed around it. 33 qi equals 11 meters, everybody, lend me your imperial weapons. We'll see if we can break his celestial evolution chessboard. Wang Jian said icily. He stretched his hand. Suddenly, the atmosphere became even more oppressive and lights dazzled. Monarchic long spear. People started handing Wang Jian their weapons. An ominous strength started gathering. Lin Feng suddenly turned around on his celestial evolution chessboard, rising up as the board began to hum beneath him. In the deployment spell, all the great imperial weapons condensed into a single gigantic sword, the atmosphere around it extremely domineering. Even Lang Yi and the others sensed the terrifying strength. Lang Ye's face changed and he said, "It's a monarchic long spear. Go into my monarchic world coffin." Lang Yi took out his world coffin, which descended from the sky. Lin Feng promptly took his celestial evolution chessboard away, and jumped into the world coffin. Behind him, the air blew apart in a monstrous explosion. The deployment spell was torn apart as the world coffin disappeared. A light beam appeared and shot away into the sky. The crowd was shaken. The geniuses had great imperial weapons, but those were their trump cards, they usually didn't use them. Even to steal the skeleton they hadn't brought them out, because otherwise a great battle would have broken out, and the consequences could have been tragic. But now they had all taken out their great imperial weapons to fight against Lin Feng. However, the crowd didn't even have time to be surprised, as the cyan lights dashed to the skies. Their hearts were pounding, the sky seemed about to collapse. The world coffin appeared somewhere else. Lin Feng was sitting atop it. He saw the fissure in the sky. No wonder ancestor Shi Tian had told him not to fight against Ji Chang. People from ancient holy clans had powerful trump cards to protect their lives, but they could also use them to kill other people. The monarchic spear is also called the king of weapons. It is extremely powerful, created by condensing many other weapons together. It has an overwhelming power, murmured Lang Yi. At that moment, they were all looking at the hole in the sky. Crumbs kept falling from it, looking quite strange. The sky is collapsing. Maybe the saints created this world back then, wondered Lang Yi. He was astonished. Back then the saints had fought a great war, had they created this place? What was going on? And were the details only known to insiders? Who knew? The sky kept falling apart. People stopped fighting and looked at the sky. An endless number of golden lights appeared up there, each such light curtain extremely sharp. There, it seems like there's someone up there. The crowd was astonished as they stared at the golden lights. Someone had appeared up there. A black stone had also appeared, chains attached to it. Chains. Lin Feng started trembling. What was going on? Was a saint, or several, bound here, murmured someone. The crowd was stunned. That wasn't really possible, was it? After the saints' battle, they had sealed this world, how come some people were bound here? And who was that person in chains? What was their cultivation level? Chapter 2024-2, Deployment Spells Are Alive. Lin Feng studied Yang Xiao. He couldn't easily trust the other, especially in the celestial remarkable deployment ministry. He was a stranger and a guest in the celestial remarkable deployment ministry. He couldn't do as he wished here, therefore, Lin Feng refused. No need. I can stay alone. When Yang Xiao heard Lin Feng, he wasn't surprised. He simply smiled and said, "Even if you refuse, I will follow you. If you encounter great emperors of the supreme ministries, I will do my best to help you." "Thank you very much, you're too kind." "But it's really unnecessary," said Lin Feng, and then he suddenly left. Behind him, Yang Xiao smiled indifferently. This Mu Feng wanted to get rid of him. Deployment marks appeared under Yang Xiao's feet, and he moved extremely quickly. Emperors just had to study some holy mark strength and they could move like this. They could also move using cosmic energies to improve their speed. However, really strong deployment spellcasters could make one step and appear in another empty space. Each of their steps was composed of a full deployment spell. Lin Feng sensed that Yang Xiao was following him. He was startled at the man's speed. However, Lin Feng didn't stop. Since Yang Xiao wanted to follow him, he could hardly stop him. The Gan Ministry's first paradise was vast, with many deployment mines. However, those deployment mines didn't belong to anyone. The 81 ministries had 100 paradises, just like the 10,000 deployment walls pattern. Deployment mines were precious treasures for the celestial remarkable deployment ministry. Nobody could monopolize them, not even a powerful ministry, and only disciples could go to the paradises to study. The celestial remarkable deployment ministry had existed for many years, and had become an extremely influential group. The 10,000 deployment walls pattern and the paradises were precious treasures, every generation could benefit from them. The Gan Ministry's paradise was the first one ever made, and it helped them remain powerful. They didn't want to waste their resources. So many deployment mines, but many of them are small, noted Lin Feng. He continued on. What kind of treasures did the Gan Ministry's paradise contain for the leaders to open it once every 100 years? Beasts? Lin Feng saw a beast in the distance. It was black and had two gloomy ice-cold eyes. Its chi was ice-cold as well. When the beast saw Lin Feng, it moved towards him and brandished claws. The gigantic beast seemed like it could destroy Lin Feng in the blink of an eye. Many black shadows appeared and streaked across the sky. What a powerful strength! Lin Feng was impressed. That beast's claws were sharp and contained destructive dark energies that seemed able to tear apart anything. Lin Feng sensed how powerful it was. He raised his fist and punched out in its direction. A hole appeared in the beast's body. However, in an instant, the beast turned into demon lights and dispersed. It had no physical body. Lin Feng frowned and stared at the demon lights. They condensed before him again and the beast stared at him. Lin Feng felt cold. What the hell is this thing? Murmured Lin Feng. The beast started moving towards Lin Feng again. However, this time, he didn't directly punch it. He stretched out his hand, trying to grab that beast. He grabbed it and then a fearsome absorbing strength emerged from Lin Feng's body. A dark head emerged from Lin Feng's body and absorbed the beast before retreating back into Lin Feng's body. It's not really a beast. Lin Feng absorbed the beast and sharp lights appeared in his eyes. That ferocious beast had no physical body, and wasn't a real beast. Of course it's not a real beast. It's a deployment beast, said a familiar voice. It was Yang Xiao. Lin Feng looked at him as Yang Xiao continued, Mu Feng, the paradise is a small world which was created by ancestors of the celestial remarkable deployment ministry. The ancestor was a celestial being, a wise man, and extremely talented. He wasn't entirely satisfied with deployment spells, he wanted them to have a life, so he created deployment spells as spiritual beings, granting them a powerful strength and creating deployment spell holy spirits. That was the beast you saw. How ambitious. He was an incredible cultivator and he created an incredible place. Lin Feng was impressed. That ancestor must have been a great deployment master, like a saint. He had been wise and created his own school of thought. But that beast didn't have powerful innate powers, it acquired its powers later. Deployment spells with souls are extremely strong, but they're also rare. There are many deployment mines in here, and some of them are incredible. In some of them, you can see innate deployment spiritual beings. There are so many branches in deployment spell cultivation, mused Lin Feng. There were deployment spirits which had innate powers, some of them had even acquired them later. Deployment spells were incredible. If Lin Feng hadn't come to the celestial remarkable deployment ministry, He would have never known about these things, that living spiritual beings could be born out of nothing. Maybe the ancestor had lied to the ancestors of the celestial remarkable deployment ministry. After all, those were just legends. Thank you very much for those pieces of information, Lin Feng smiled, before continuing on his way. Yang Xiao watched Lin Feng's disappearing silhouette coolly. There was a beast in the sky, a deployment eagle. It suddenly dove towards Yang Xiao. Yang Xiao waved his hand, deployment lights appeared, flashed red and moved to the eagle. At the same time, a beam of light emerged from his third eye and crashed into the eagle's head. With a flash, the eagle vanished. How strong, someone spoke up. Yang Xiao turned around and saw Great Emperor Z. What do you want? Yang Xiao asked him indifferently. Yang Xiao, you told Lin Feng I was going to take care of him and that he should stay with you. Unfortunately, he doesn't care. He refused to travel with you, and he doesn't want you to tell you anything about himself. You can't recruit him as easily. In the end, he's enigmatic and unfathomable. My punch didn't even injure him, Great Emperor Z mused aloud. Yang Xiao frowned and said icily, so what? Mind your own business, will you? Yang Xiao, people fear and respect you in the celestial remarkable deployment ministry. Even the elders tell their disciples they have to respect you. You have a good position in the celestial remarkable deployment ministry. You are also extremely talented. But now we're in a paradise. If you want to deal with him, I can help you, Great Emperor Z smiled coolly. Yang Xiao was surprised. Great Emperor Z continued, I know that no matter what you do, with your talent, the elders of the Gone Ministry will support you, but they won't help you. We can join hands, we'll benefit from it. What do you want to obtain? Yang Xiao asked icily. We can share all he has, said Great Emperor Z indifferently, which made Yang Xiao smile grimly. Ridiculous. Great Emperor Z, you're a great emperor, you would dare cast greedy eyes on an emperor? You're wrong. You can learn from anyone, no matter what their cultivation level is. That guy is talented and extremely strong. His deployment spells are impressive. If we join hands, it will be a win-win cooperation. You could obtain great things, which might be crucial before the meeting of the continent of the 9 clouds. You would become much stronger really quickly. Great Emperor Z, you're truly evil, spat Yang Xiao coldly. We're both in the same boat, Great Emperor Z smiled placidly. They had possibly found a common ground. Lin Feng didn't know about their little chat. He had landed in a deployment mine. Everything in front of him seemed to be moving. He saw a gigantic stone appear and begin to shatter. It then exploded, and its pieces fell down to the ground. A gigantic spider appeared, it had golden eyes and its body was dark gold. It's a deployment beast again. Lin Feng was curious. The spider scuttled towards him. Lin Feng was surrounded by dazzling marks, which turned into a gigantic golden web around him. It looked indestructible, and seemed extremely difficult to escape from, as it kept changing. This deployment beast can use deployment spells, thought Lin Feng, astonished. How could a deployment spell turn into a spiritual being? Lin Feng really wanted to know. Even though Lin Feng understood deployment spells better and could already carve deployment beasts, they were still just deployment spells, they couldn't be real beasts, but the creature in front of him was a mystery. To become alive, they must have a soul, so that deployment spell has a soul. Lin Feng's eyes glittered and he released his sword strength. The web started crackling and strands severed like wires being cut. Chapter 2025, Ancient Saint. I have the impression that everyone is wrong, murmured Lang Yi. Lin Feng and the others looked at him. Why? Back then, the elders of my clan said that when you're a saint, you become indestructible. Zun cultivators can use their blood to regenerate body parts. In the case of saints, if they only have a drop of blood or a thread of soul left, they can survive. The only way to kill them is to destroy their soul so that it explodes into a million pieces, and that's impossible. The saints couldn't possibly have sealed this world to die, there must be some behind-the-scenes story, said Lang Yi gravely. Lin Feng and the others could only mutter to themselves at his words. Lin Feng had seen the ancient battle with his own eyes. Even though all the saints were injured in the end, the battle hadn't ended. Had they really fallen? The ancestors had sealed this world for their descendants to come there every 100 years, it couldn't possibly be because they wanted to kill themselves. It was simply impossible. What was that chained entity? A terrifying demon? The Kasayapa will which the skeleton contains might be the Kasayapa saint's will. If I'm not mistaken, all the saints had remorse and sealed that world, maybe they didn't fight against one another, right? If the saints didn't fight against one another, who fought against the Kasayapa saint? Lin Feng mused. He looked at Lang Yi and said, Lang Yi, if you had taken out the world coffin first, you would have been able to protect the skeleton. Indeed, I think the same as you, that skeleton probably is the Kasayapa saint. Who could have killed him to the point that he would have died and turned into a skeleton? I sensed his energies when I took it. However, it's useless to me. I don't need it. I want to see the other treasures. That skeleton will be more useful to others. Maybe in this place, there aren't real historical remains per se. Or maybe there are other places with real historical remains which belonged to the saints. At that moment, Princess Piao Shui slowly walked up to Lin Feng. He looked at her and said, Princess Piao Shui, don't get too close to me. They aren't insane, they won't dare attack me, said Princess Piao Shui smiled. Lin Feng nodded and asked, Princess, have you ever heard of anything concerning this place in the Qianxi dynasty? Princess Piao Shui muttered to herself for a moment, looking thoughtful, before nodding and saying, I have, actually. Many people have been to the historical remains, and each time, they see different things. We even have books in which people write some things. Have you ever seen those books? Asked Lin Feng. I have, Princess Piao Shui nodded. It's supposed to be a secret of our dynasty, we're not supposed to tell other people. The Dark Abysses, the Chant Valley, the Emerald Green Forest, the Golden Mountain Range, all those places are forbidden areas. The enchained spirits are envoys from hell. This place might be the place I've been looking for. Lin Feng was startled. The ancestors had already realized that there were demon kings in this place, not only in the black hole, but also in the other locations. But there weren't really strong cultivators here, so if Wang Jian hadn't used his monarchic spear, the sky wouldn't have broken. Forbidden areas, so those forbidden areas might be places where the saints have left historical vestiges, like the black hole. Maybe, Princess Piao Shui nodded. Lin Feng glanced upwards, just as the gigantic enchained silhouette opened its eyes. His soul shook. Lin Feng had the impression he was going to be paralyzed if he looked at those eyes. If that creature was as strong as the creature in the black hole, one breath and he could kill all of them. There was an ear-splitting crack of thunder, the very space shook, more fissures in the sky appeared, and the chains vibrated madly as the wind howled. Oh no, let's go, said Lin Feng. His expression changed. Their group dove down and flew off into the distance. The others also realized that something wrong was going on. If they stayed, they might die. The violent windstorm was more and more intense and oppressive, the thunder rolling ever louder. The earth and sky truly shaking violently. Lin Feng turned around. The growing whirlwind was terrifying, nobody could escape from it. Get into the world coffin again, said Lang Yi. The group of friends jumped into the world coffin and Lang Yi closed it, before streaking across the sky and disappeared from there. The other strong cultivators also used their great imperial weapons to escape as quickly as they could. An extremely loud voice roared out and made the sky shake. More fissures appeared in the sky, light shining through them as shattering sounds filled the air. The chains kept shaking and vibrating. Inside the black hole, something roared violently in response. More shattering sounds spread out, the rattle of the second pair of chains joining the first. People raised their heads, watching the chains keep vibrating. Those chains could bind even space and light, but now Lin Feng and the others arrived somewhere else. That world seemed to be isolated from the rest of the cosmos, a world which couldn't handle chaotic situations. Princess, when geniuses come every 100 years, apart from the few authentic forbidden areas, have they talked about other historical remains? Lin Feng asked Piao Shui. Piao Shui was surprised. She had not thought of that. People had been coming to the world for a long time, and they had probably inspected the most ordinary places already, but maybe some uninhabited places had been completely forgotten. Relying on our strength, we can't obtain historical remains anyway, said Piao Shui smiled wryly. However, back in the days when the saints sealed the area, maybe that they were scared of something. I have the feeling that it could have something to do with the chained creatures. If those people break free, we might very well be doomed. I don't think those people could be the saints wouldn't have bound themselves, Lin Feng conjectured. The ancestor of the Holy Spirit dynasty had transmitted memories to Lin Feng and he had told him about it. What was it? Maybe it had something to do with the enchained people. The wind moaned. Lin Feng turned around and saw a silhouette had somehow appeared behind him. It was an old man. Lin Feng had seen him before, it was the old man who had appeared around the black hole. What was he doing here? You want to know the truth? The old man finally asked. Lin Feng was startled, but nodded. Master, if you can tell us, please do. Come with me and you'll understand, said the old man pointing off in a direction. The saints couldn't have died that easily. Lin Feng was intrigued. His friends and he glanced at one another and nodded, and followed the old man. The mysterious old man took them to an altar, with pillars on both sides. There was a flight of stairs in front of it. A silhouette was seated cross-legged in front of the altar. That person had no life chi, it was impossible to detect their presence. Lin Feng stared at the mysterious silhouette, remaining vigilant. The silhouette suddenly opened its eyes and looked at Lin Feng and the others. 100 years have passed again. Who are you, master? Lin Feng asked suspiciously. Saint Tianhun, have you ever heard that name? Replied the old man evenly. Princess Piao Shui was astonished and frowned. The old man looked at her and smiled. You've heard about me? The ancestor of the Celestial Soul Dynasty. Are you really Saint Tianhun? Celestial Soul Dynasty, repeated the old man, and asked, the Celestial Soul Dynasty must have been created by my descendants, are they all right? They disappeared a long time ago, replied Princess Piao Shui. Oh, the saint sighed. He looked extremely sad. Master, what are those enchained creatures? What happened at the end of the saints' war in the ancient days? Asked Princess Piao Shui. Saint Tianhun smiled and said, little girl, the enchained creatures are evil spirits. We sealed this world because of them. For that, we had to pay the price. Many of us died because of them. As for me, I had practiced broken soul strength, so I managed to stay alive. When Lin Feng heard Saint Tianhun, he was astonished. Evil spirits. Lin Feng found it hard to believe. He had heard the ancestor of the Holy Spirit dynasty, he had told him that it had caused trouble. Saint Tianhun didn't mention it at all, he was talking about evil spirits. Chapter 2026, The Gigantic Foot in the Valley. Master, why did all the saints fight a great war in the old days? Lin Feng asked calmly. Saint Tianhun looked at Lin Feng and replied, we disagreed on many things, but we hadn't thought that the evil spirits would attack us at some point. The Qi Tian dynasty was so powerful that we could have easily killed them, we wouldn't have just sealed this world. Now, they are starting to recover. If they break free, you will notice it quite quickly. Lin Feng immediately understood that Saint Tianhun was lying. He wasn't sure that person was really Saint Tianhun. "Master, why do you want our younger generation to come here?" asked Lin Feng. "We need your help. I need to recover. Those 5 pillars can activate the altar. You can stand on the one in the middle, the others can stand on the 4 other pillars." "Don't worry, it's not dangerous for you," said Saint Tianhun slowly. Lin Feng nodded and said, "All right." Then, he said to Lang Yi and the others telepathically, "If anything is wrong, we must escape immediately." Lang Yi and the others understood. They all listened to the orders. Lin Feng walked to the pillar in the middle, next to the old man, while Lang Yi and the others jumped onto pillars. "Is this okay, Master?" asked Lin Feng. Asked Saint Tianhun. "Yes, thank you very much," Saint Tianhun smiled. He released soul strength, which moved straight to the altar. However, at that moment, Lin Feng suddenly disappeared and reappeared in front of Saint Tianhun. "Die!" shouted Lin Feng while releasing Death Sword strength. At the same time, his sword Holy Spirit pierced through Saint Tianhun's head, the death intent corroding his body. Saint Tianhun was stupefied. He suddenly raised a hand which had turned black, trying to catch Lin Feng. "Let's go!" shouted Lin Feng extremely loudly. Lang Ye's expression changed drastically. At the same time, the old man reappeared in front of him. Lang Yi could only retreat. At the same time, Saint Tianhun activated the altar. 2 light beams illuminated him and Lin Feng. Lin Feng had the impression he was being teleported. "Why did you do that?" asked Saint Tianhun, staring icily at Lin Feng. "You keep lying," replied Lin Feng grimly. He immediately released sword strength and cut into the old man's hand. Saint Tianhun. Even if it was really a saint, so what? Lin Feng didn't want to lose his body. Saint Tianhun's chi kept shaking as if he were about to die. "I'll take your body." A powerful strength penetrated into Lin Feng's brain. Lin Feng's face stiffened. He released Holy Spirit strength which bombarded the altar, tearing it apart, and then ran away. "Die!" shouted Saint Tianhun furiously. Lin Feng had the sensation his soul was going to explode. He released his 5 wisdom kings to protect his soul, as his godly awareness palace also appeared. At the same time, death strength surged back to counter the attack. Saint Tianhun's soul strength weakened a lot. However, it didn't disperse and continued vibrating in Lin Feng's brain. Saint Tianhun was furious. It was difficult for him to recover, and now Lin Feng had almost crushed him. Saint Tianhun looked ferocious. His chi was still surrounding Lin Feng. "Go!" shouted Saint Tianhun. In a flash, his soul strength raged out and sheared through the air, heading for Lin Feng. At that moment, the old man's face stiffened. He went back to the altar and knelt down before it respectfully. "Master, I failed. It has nothing to do with you. Use some spirits to capture him. He can't die. We must capture him alive," said Saint Tianhun icily. Many spirits emerged from his mouth, and at the same time, many evil spirits in the historical remains received the same orders. "Yes, Master," said the old man. He ignored Lang Yi and the others. They were escaping. He just chased after Lin Feng. Lin Feng jumped into his boat and fled. Soul strength kept following him. It might be Saint Tianhun, but now he needs a body, thought Lin Feng angrily. He had injured Saint Tianhun, the consequences were too dreadful to contemplate. Saint Tianhun hadn't expected Lin Feng would use a talisman to escape, however. How fast? Surprisingly, he's a little bit faster than my boat, thought Lin Feng, pulling a long face. Saint Tianhun couldn't travel far for some reason, obviously he had to stay near the altar. Lin Feng took out a great imperial weapon and flames appeared everywhere around him, and he saw the soul strength move right through it. After a few seconds, Lin Feng decided not to use his great imperial weapon to stop the attack. Lin Feng. At that moment, someone was startled to see Lin Feng. Then he saw the soul strength chasing Lin Feng and smiled coldly. Lin Feng released death strength, and a dozen Holy Spirit gigantic swords appeared. The person's expression changed drastically. An ancient bell appeared and swung at Lin Feng, ringing loudly. Lin Feng smiled coldly. He took out a talisman and threw it. As it exploded, Lin Feng teleported himself, reappearing behind that man, whose face changed drastically again. The ancient bell came sweeping towards Lin Feng, who turned around and released sword energies, cutting apart the man. Lin Feng didn't stop though, jumping onto his boat again and continued his escape. The crowd on the ground sensed that he was extremely strong, and that they couldn't stop him. That soul strength is really powerful. Lin Feng can't escape, thought some of them, their eyes glittering. Lin Feng just continued his escape. He flew towards a mountain range, and saw many buildings there. The soul spear continued chasing him though. It would not disappear until it reached him. Saint Tianhun was still seated cross-legged by the altar, his eyes closed. He was forming some hand seals and chanting, and the soul spear was changing. Lin Feng sensed that some strength was fusing together with the soul strength. He controls it perfectly, thought Lin Feng, annoyed. He couldn't use great imperial weapons to stop it, and his enemy could also control it even from thousands of kilometers away. Lin Feng couldn't use his own soul to fight against it, it was too dangerous. At that moment, a sound pierced through Lin Feng's eardrums, and his mind shook. He gazed into the distance and saw a mountain range. An invisible and intangible strength surrounded it. The sounds came from there. There's someone. Lin Feng saw someone in a valley. He had to be vigilant. That must be Chant Valley, thought Lin Feng with a frown. He accelerated, and the soul spear accelerated too. Lin Feng dove into the valley. There's music. Lin Feng shivered. He had to protect his soul above anything else. He continued diving towards the mountain. Some people outside were stupefied after noticing it was Lin Feng. The terrifying spear suddenly stopped in front of the mountain. Since you want to die, I'll help you. It's such a pity though, you have a perfect body, said the saint back by the altar icily. He condensed his soul strength even more, it turned into a gigantic spear and shot towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng was startled, but continued racing forwards. He had to rely on the strength of the mountain to help him. Otherwise, that soul spear would continue chasing him forever. The music grew louder, and Lin Feng's soul started to shake. The soul spear also kept dispersing as it collided with the sound waves. The music is getting louder and louder, thought Lin Feng. His soul shook more and more violently, but the soul spear was being destroyed too. At that moment, inside Chant Valley, Ji Chang, Hekan, Gu Tian, and some people from the Qin dynasty were gathered about a gigantic foot. The foot was oppressive, and the music wasn't that loud there. We found something. Hekan, you're amazing. You found this place. Prince Qin complimented him. This was his ancestor's vestige. Unfortunately, he had probably died. There was still a gigantic foot left behind, however. It's all thanks to your talent and our luck. After all, my destiny technique isn't almighty, said Hekan quietly. Prince Qin nodded and replied, no matter what, we found my ancestors' historical remains. I've heard how dangerous it is here, I hope we won't have any problem here. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.